Chapter 427. After leaving for a month, Sima Yue returned to her family. Seeing her return, everyone's worried hearts finally relaxed. "I'm sorry for making everyone worried." Sima Yue smiled apologetically at everyone. "It's good that you're fine," Sima Yulin said. Everyone had a tacit understanding not to ask her where she had gone or why she had lost control. They were just happy that she had returned. However, their happiness was soon dampened because she said, "I will leave here in half a year and go to the primordial lands." She was leaving, which meant that he might not be able to see her for many years. Perhaps for a lifetime. After Sima Yue made her decision, she returned to her courtyard, leaving behind a group of people with different thoughts. The reason she said this was to let everyone be mentally prepared for her departure. The other reason was to tell those who wanted to follow her to cultivate well. She would not wait for them. She would not take them away until she reached the god level. Because of this, Sima Yuqing and the others all worked hard to cultivate, and they actually managed to advance to the divine rank in this half a year. Of course, they made use of the time difference in the Spirit Pagoda. In the past 1.5 years, they had spent 15 years in there. With their talents, it was expected that they would advance to the god level. Sima Yue, on the other hand, had put aside her cultivation for the past 6 months. Apart from her daily cultivation, she had put her focus on alchemy and array formation. Array masters were further divided into elementary array masters, intermediate array masters, advanced array masters, array grandmasters, array emperors, and so on. Sima Yue calculated her current level and realized that she had surpassed array master and was now an array grandmaster. This was mainly due to the formation book that Wu Lingyu had found for her. Other than that, her dawn had also successfully entered the 7th realm. Furthermore, it was a recent breakthrough. After entering the 6th grade of alchemy, she found that it was harder and harder to break through. No wonder there were so many primary and intermediate alchemists, and the number of advanced alchemists decreased. One day, Little Spirit appeared in front of her and looked at her suspiciously, saying, "Didn't you always want to know what's on the 2nd level?" Sima Yue slapped her forehead. Only then did she remember that the 2nd level had already been opened when she had advanced to the god level. However, because of those things, she had forgotten about it. "Let's go take a look." Sima Yue put down the book and appeared on the 1st floor of the Spirit Pagoda. The last time she was here, she had been struck by lightning. But now that she thought about it, compared to the lightning tribulation she would encounter when she advanced to the god realm, this was just like scratching an itch. Little Spirit floated behind her and said, "Let's go forward and take a look." Sima Yue nodded, feeling a little nervous. What was waiting for him on the 2nd floor? She walked up the stairs one step at a time and stopped at the corner between the 1st and 2nd floor. This was where she had been stopped. Looking at the thin ripples, she took a deep breath and reached out to touch it. He had passed through. The barrier no longer obstructed her. Instead, it dissipated. She continued to walk up. As the number of stairs decreased, her heart beat faster and faster. Finally, she stepped on the last step of the stairs. However, she did not see anything. There was only darkness. Her tense god realm spirit immediately relaxed. She asked curiously, "Little Spirit, why is there nothing on the 2nd floor?" "Who said there's nothing?" Little Spirit snapped his fingers, and the dark environment suddenly lit up. Sima Yue saw a mountain range. Mountain range? What's the difference between this and the 1st floor's mountain range? She looked at the mountain range and did not find any difference. Little Spirit rolled his eyes and said, "This is a mine, not the ordinary mountain range below. How can there be no difference?" "Mine? What do you use it for?" "To open a mine and refine equipment for Fatty." "This is a crystal mine. Didn't you notice that there is less spiritual energy here and more spiritual energy?" Little Spirit roared. Sima Yue then remembered that in the primordial lands, although everyone relied on increasing the spiritual energy in their body to cultivate, there were other ways to increase the speed. For example, absorbing the spiritual energy in the crystals. Looking at these mines, Sima Yue did not know whether to laugh or cry. The resources here were comparable to the resources in the hands of the large sections. However, they were all underground. Did she have to dig them out herself? Furthermore, not all of these mountains had crystals. She was not a seeker spirit master. How would she know how to find crystals? If you want to open up these mines, you have to find a seeker spirit master. Otherwise, you have to become one. She said helplessly, finding a seeker spirit master is not realistic. Even if you find one, you can't bring them in. Then you can only become a seeker spirit master. Seeker spirit master was the most popular profession in the primordial lands. Its status was even higher than that of an array master. The reason was that they knew how to identify stones. They knew how to find crystals and spirit veins. They also knew how to open up rare crystals from ore. The last time in the Little Realm, Immerse was so excited when he obtained a magic crystal. It could be seen how valuable these crystals were. The status of a seeker spirit master who could open up rare crystals was self-evident. But it's easier said than done to become a seeker spirit master. She sighed and asked, "Little spirit, were there any seeker spirit masters among your previous owners?" "No," Little Spirit said, "but I have a book here." Sima Yue took the book that Little Spirit gave her and saw the words on the page. She cried out in surprise, "Spirit seeking the origin. It's actually Spirit seeking the origin. How did you get this book?" She had heard of this book in her previous life. It was said that it was the highest-ranked book in the spirit-seeking secret manual. There were many secret methods to identify ores in it. It was said that only the owner of Spirit seeking the origin could achieve the highest achievement and become a spirit-seeking Emperor Master. However, this book had been lost for a long time. She did not expect that it would be in Little Spirit's hands today. "I don't know which owner obtained it," Little Spirit said. "Then why didn't he become a seeker spirit master?" Sima Yue asked curiously. "He didn't have time to read it before he died," Little Spirit said. Sima Yue was speechless. This owner was too pitiful. Even with Little Spirit around, he still died. However, leaving behind Spirit seeking the origin was a good thing for her. With this good thing, her chances of success when she went up to take revenge would be higher. Therefore, she spent most of her energy on researching and finding the source of the crystals. She first thoroughly understood the theory of Spirit seeking the origin. Then, she went to the second level of the Spirit Pagoda to find the source of the crystals. She put the theory into practice and increased her ability to find the source of the crystals. Time passed by in a flash, and half a year quietly passed. Chapter 428. When Sima Yue left, she kept a low profile. Other than the elders in the family and Wei Ziqi's family members, no one else knew about it. The Wei clan and the Chu clan had already completely assimilated into the Yilin clan. Their strength was not high, and they could not possibly go up with Wei Ziqi and the rest. Only Sang Muyu had come out because of Ouyang Fei, so she would definitely leave with them. Moreover, because of this period of cultivation, her strength had increased by leaps and bounds, and she had already become a spiritual venerable. Other than Wei Ziqi and the others, there was also Sima Lai, Sima Yu Ming, and the four brothers, as well as Sima Yu Lin. Sima Yu Qing, Sima Yu Yang, and the others wanted to go as well, but Sima Tai said that not everyone could go up. Otherwise, the younger generation would suffer heavy losses and affect the clan's development. They would only be allowed to leave after someone took over their position. Although Sima Yu Yang and the others were unwilling, they had no choice but to stay. They would go up to look for them in the future. On this day, she placed everyone in the Spirit Pagoda. With her current strength, using the realm-breaking compass would only allow her to pass through the passageway. Sima Tai, Sima Yu Yang, Sima Yu Qing, and Sima Yu Lan came to her courtyard to send her off. "If you want to look for us, you can go to Divine Devil Valley." Sima Yue said. "Okay, we will." Sima Yu Yang said. You have to take care. Wait for us to go up and look for you." Sima Yu Qing said worriedly. She had been worried about Sima Yue the last time. "Don't worry. We'll wait for you upstairs." Sima Yue said with a smile. She took out the breaking boundary compass and injected spiritual energy into it. Then, she threw it into the air. A passage opened up around the breaking boundary compass, and it fell into her hand. "We're going." She looked at them and was a little reluctant, but she still flew into the tunnel. Sima Tai and the others watched her leave and watched the tunnel close. Seeing the reluctance in Sima Yu Yang and the others' eyes, he said, "Relax, I think that it won't be long before you all can go up as well. You have to quickly develop the younger generation." Sima Yu Yang said. The boundary compass that Wu Lingyu gave her had a fixed position. As long as she injected her spirit energy, it would set up a spatial passage to Divine Devil Valley. When Sima Yue entered the spatial tunnel, she could not help but sigh at how weak she was. The spatial tunnel she created was extremely unstable. Back then, although the tunnel he had constructed wasn't particularly good, it shouldn't have been so shaky, as if it would collapse at any moment. Moreover, due to the instability of the spatial passageway, his entire body was being squeezed and torn apart by the spatial pressure, causing him great pain. Boom! A deafening sound echoed through the void. Sima Yue cursed in her heart. Before she could do anything, she had deviated from her original route. The spatial passage he constructed earlier collapsed, and he was pulled into the space vortex. Fortunately, she had thought of this from the beginning and was prepared when she entered the passage. She was holding a world-breaking compass in her hand. This compass was not like the one she used before. It was only the size of an egg. The tearing of the void caused her to lose control of her body more and more. Fortunately, she had injected spirit energy into the compass before the change occurred. The compass quickly opened a gap and brought her out of the void. She fainted after leaving the void. In a desert in the primordial lands, a camel caravan was walking unhurriedly. There were 30 over camels and 10 over people sitting on the camels, chatting and laughing. "Father, we'll be out of this desert in half a day." A lady in her 20s was wearing a fiery red riding attire. Her hair was braided, and there were small bells hanging from the braids. The small bells chimed as she moved. The leader was a man in his 30s. When he heard his daughter's words, he smiled and said, "It's been a safe journey. I hope it will be so smooth all the way back." As if he thought of something, his smile slowly faded and worry crept into his eyebrows. The lady in red saw her father's expression and said, "Father, are you worried that the Jiang clansmen will do something bad? If we don't pay more tributes this time, the Heavenly Tiger Hall will not protect us anymore." The middle-aged man said, "We prepared a lot of tributes in the past. It's just that the Jiang clan did something bad. They either robbed or stole it. Otherwise, it would have been destroyed. If not for them, how would we have been given the ultimatum?" The lady in red said. Then, she smiled and said, "However, the spirit source we found this time is not bad. It should be able to produce stones. As long as we hand it to the Heavenly Tiger Hall, we will be able to survive this crisis. I'm afraid that the Jiang clan has already received news that we found the small mine. I'm afraid that they will come to snatch it again." The middle-aged man said, "Clan leader, the people we brought this time are not weak. If the Jiang clan wants to do something bad again, we will make sure that they will not be able to return." Another man at the side said, Father, there seems to be someone there." The lady in red pointed at a person who was about to be buried under the sand. The middle-aged man looked. There was indeed a person buried under the sand. Other than the face, nothing else could be seen. "Clan leader, could it be a dead person?" The man who spoke before said, "Father, let's go down and take a look." The lady in red said, "Miss, what if it's an ambush set by the Jiang clan?" The lady in red was stunned. She said uncertainly, "It shouldn't be." However, she was also unsure. She looked at her father, waiting for him to make a decision. It's not easy to set up an ambush here. The Jiang clan shouldn't be here. The middle-aged man hesitated. "Send someone down to take a look." A guard came down from the camel and ran down. He shouted to them, "Clan leader, it's a young lad. He seems to be severely injured." After confirming that there was no ambush, the camel team stopped. A few guards were left behind, while the rest came down. "Father, this person seems to be severely injured. Let's save him." The lady in red looked at Sima Yue, who was dug out from the sand by the guards. She frowned and said, "Clan leader, we don't even dare to walk alone in this area. How could a young lad be injured here?" Someone said, hinting that Sima Yoyue's appearance here was unusual. But father, there are very few people here. If we don't save him, I'm afraid that he will be buried by the sand. The lady said with pity. The middle-aged man looked at Sima Yue carefully. He did not recognize the blood ring on her left hand. He also could not find anything else that could identify her. He could not confirm her identity. In the end, he sighed and said, "Since we've already met him, let's bring him along. When we get out of the desert and into the town, we'll put him down." Chapter 429. Pain. This was the biggest feeling Sima Yue had after she regained consciousness. The pain this time was almost comparable to the last time he was struck by lightning, but the consequences were much more serious. This was because she realized that other than her physical injuries, she was also injured in the void. Her sense of space was a little chaotic for a moment, and she actually lost connection with her spatial ring and spirit pagoda. That also meant that Bei Gongtang and the others would not be able to come out. She panicked, but she was also very weak. She only woke up for a moment before falling into darkness again. When she regained her consciousness, the first thing she did was to sense the spirit pagoda. It was only after she discovered the connection between her and the spirit pagoda that she relaxed. Fortunately, although he still couldn't open the spirit pagoda and spatial ring, at least there was a connection. This meant that he was recovering, and he should be able to open the spirit pagoda soon. She felt her dry throat being moistened by the cold water, and her burning body felt much better. Her heavy eyelids slowly opened. "You're awake." A clear voice sounded beside her. Sima Yue felt as if she was in a carriage. Her body was swaying, and in front of her was a handsome face with eyes as bright as the stars. Before she could say anything, the woman had already told her what she wanted to know. "I'm Zhuoma. My father is Zhuo Ran. We saw you in the desert 2 days ago. At that time, you were almost buried alive. Right now, we have already left the desert and are rushing towards Evernew City." "Did they save her?" "Thank you," she said, her voice hoarse. "It's better if you don't talk. My father gave you a pill, but the level isn't high, so your body hasn't recovered yet." Zhuoma said, "Come, drink some more water." Zhuoma placed the water belt beside Sima Yoyue's mouth and fed her 2 mouthfuls. Actually, she was shocked to see Sima Yoyue's injuries. Her father had said before that Sima Yoyue's entire body had been torn apart. Although they had given her pills to eat, they were only 3rd-ranked healing pills. For such serious injuries, they didn't even know if it would have any effect. However, in the past 2 days, her injuries had healed at a speed visible to the naked eye, which shocked everyone. Even Zhuo Ran felt that it was too strange. Sima Yue drank the water. Zhuoma wanted to say something, but she didn't ask anything in the end. "Have a good rest. We still have a few days before we reach Evernew City. I'll go out first." With that, she smiled at Sima Yue, pulled open the curtain, and left. Sima Yue waited for her to leave before sensing the connection between her and the spirit pagoda again. After confirming that everything was fine, she retracted her thoughts and recalled what had happened earlier. It had only been less than a minute since the change in space to her breaking out of the void, but she had suffered such serious injuries. Furthermore, her physique had been tempered over the years and was comparable to that of a spirit beast. She was many times stronger than an ordinary person. If it were anyone else, they would have been torn to pieces in an instant. Fortunately, she had the boundary-piercing compass in her hand from the start and reacted quickly. When she heard the sound, she immediately injected her spirit energy into it. If she hadn't prepared beforehand and didn't react so quickly, she wouldn't have been able to come out. Thinking about that sound, she was curious. Listening to that sound, there should be someone fighting. To be able to affect the void in a battle, what kind of people were fighting? Although she had only been in the void for a minute, she didn't know how many regions she had deviated from. And she didn't know which region she had deviated from, so she had no way of guessing the distance between her and the Divine Devil Valley. She heard Zhuoma talking to Zhuo Ran on the beast carriage after she went out. "Father, she's already awake." Zhuoma said. "How is she?" Zhuo Ran asked. "She has already recovered quite a bit," Zhuoma replied. That speed is much faster than what I've seen before. Patriarch, we'll reach Evernew City in 2 days. We'll just send her to the inn then, right? Zhuiyang said. After Evernew City, we'll be in the Jiang family's territory. If we bring her along, we might implicate her. Zhuo Ran said. But father, she's so good-looking, and that Evernew City lord is a guy. She's injured so badly. Wouldn't it be bad if we leave her in the city? Zhuo Ma said disapprovingly. But we just received news yesterday that the Jiang family is preparing to intercept us. If we bring her along, won't we be held back? What if we die because of her? Zhuiyang said. Zhuiyang, shut up. Zhuo Ma scolded softly. She's someone we saved. How can you say that? If we really die, it's because we're not strong enough. How can you blame others? Zhuiyang, your cousin is right. You can't say that in front of her. Zhuo Ran said. All right, what's that young master called? I forgot to ask. Zhuo Ma slapped her forehead and said in annoyance. I'm not spouting nonsense. Zhuiyang said. That person appeared in the desert for no reason, and we didn't feel any spiritual energy fluctuation from her body. That means she's not a spirit master. We're bringing a normal person. If we're not being held back, what is? Zhuiyang, you're the one who's afraid of death. Leave now and don't stay with us. Zhuo Ma said angrily. Zhuiyang was Zhuo Ma's cousin. Although the relationship between the siblings wasn't good, she had never scolded him like this. Now that an outsider had scolded him, he was angry. Isn't he just a pretty boy? Why are you so protective of him? I'm thinking of everyone's safety. Do you want to harm everyone's lives because of a pretty boy? You're spouting nonsense. Zhuo Ma's anger rose as well. Anyway, you're not allowed to leave him in Evernew City. I don't agree. Zhuo Ran didn't think that his daughter would be so insistent. He thought about it and said, how about this? We'll leave him at the next place after we pass Evernew City. Zhuo Ma snorted coldly, agreeing with Zhuo Ran's idea. Thinking that she would see Zhuiyang's face outside, she opened the door and entered. She didn't think that Sima Yue wasn't asleep. Seeing her understanding gaze, Zhuo Ma was a little embarrassed. That cousin of mine is like that. Don't take it to heart. Sima Yue said. Zhuo Ma was stunned. She then knew that Sima Yue was talking about her name. She smiled and said, Yue, why did you appear in the desert? How did you get injured? Where is your home? Although she felt that Sima Yue was a good person after seeing her eyes, she still wanted to know why she got injured. Do you know how far the Divine Devil Valley is from here? Sima Yue asked. Divine Devil Valley? We don't have a Divine Devil Valley here. Zhuo Ma replied. Chapter 430. Hearing Zhuo Ma's words, Sima Yue was startled. She asked, then what about the Moonbow clan and the Cloud Cave? Zhuo Ma shook her head and said, I've never heard of any of these. These were all great powers in the Middle Region, but she had never heard of them? Could it be that this was not the Primordial Lands? Is this the Primordial Lands? She continued to ask. Of course, Zhuo Ma said. Why? You're not from the Primordial Lands? Hearing that she was in the Primordial Lands, Sima Yue heaved a sigh of relief and said, I just came to the Primordial Lands. Because of some problems, I didn't reach my destination. Your destination is the Divine Devil Valley, right? Zhuo Ma asked with a smile. Sima Yue nodded and did not deny it. Is this place in the Middle Region or the Outer Region? She saw that Zhuo Ma's strength was not high, so it should not be someone from the Inner Regions. We are in the periphery, Zhuo Ma said, and our place is very small. We have never heard of the Divine Devil Valley you mentioned. Divine Devil Valley is a powerhouse in the Middle Region. It's okay if you don't know about it, Sima Yue said indifferently. Although she said that she didn't care, she was feeling bitter in her heart. It wasn't easy to go from the Outer Region to the Central Region. He had never been to the Outer Region before, so he had to find a way to get to the Middle Region. But the premise was that he had to know where he was. Zhuo Ma saw the worry in Sima Yue's eyes and said, Don't worry, we don't know, but the people in the big places definitely know. After you recover, you can go to those big cities and have a look. That's the only way, Sima Yue sighed. Can you tell me more about your situation here? Her injuries were still quite serious, and it would take a few more days for her to recover. Sure, Zhuoma knew that she had come up from the lower continent and definitely did not know much about this place, so she explained the situation to her. Sima Yue felt even more bitter after hearing that. In her previous life, she had heard that there were tens of thousands of regions in the periphery. She had always thought that it was an exaggeration, but she did not expect it to be true. There were countless skyscraping ridges and eightfold ridges in the periphery. The smaller forces would rely on the bigger forces for protection, while the bigger forces would rely on the higher-level forces, and so on. Because the area was too vast, Zhuoma and the others had never been too far away in their lives. This was because only sects had teleportation arrays. How could those sects' teleportation arrays be used by ordinary people like them? Those teleportation arrays will not be used by outsiders, unless you can enter a sect and become a core member, or if you have something that can make them willing to provide you with teleportation arrays. Zhuoma said, "Only the Heavenly Tiger Hall has a teleportation array here, but the Heavenly Tiger Hall is not easy to talk to." Sima Yue looked at Zhuoma's expression and knew that the Heavenly Tiger Hall was not as difficult to deal with as Zhuoma had made it out to be. It was probably not a good faction. "I heard you guys talking about the Jiang family just now. What's going on?" she asked. Zhuoma thought that it would be better to tell her now so that she would be mentally prepared, and said, "The Jiang family and our Zhua family are both clans under the Heavenly Tiger Hall. If we want to be protected by the Heavenly Tiger Hall, we have to provide them with resources on a regular basis. If we do not meet the requirements, we will lose the protection of the Heavenly Tiger Hall and be bullied by other powers." Sima Yue knew about this way of life. It was the same in some places in the central regions. For example, the Zhongzheng family was dependent on the Yin-Yang sect, while the Yin-Yang sect was dependent on other powers. The Jiang family and our Zhua family have always been enemies. 2 years ago, our tributes to the Heavenly Tiger Hall were either stolen or destroyed by them. This caused us to not meet the requirements of the Heavenly Tiger Hall for many years. This year, the Heavenly Tiger Hall has already given us a final warning. If we do not contribute anything good, they will not protect us in the future. Zhuoma said angrily. "You guys have obtained something good this year?" Sima Yue guessed. Zhuoma nodded. "By chance, we found a small mine in the depths of the desert. Although the mine is not big, the quality of the ores inside is not bad. It actually produced a rare crystal. Thus, we took the risk and went to the small mine to dig out some ores. My father said that if we handed these over, we would be able to pass." Sima Yue was slightly surprised. They actually found a rare crystal. To a small family like theirs, this was definitely a huge amount of wealth. However, even if they obtained it, they did not own it. "Then will the Jiang family rob you?" she asked. "We received news yesterday that the Jiang family knew about the small mine and are preparing to rob us on the way." Zhuoma was furious. This Jiang family is relying on the divine sect to bully us time and time again. When we have the power, we will definitely destroy them. There were not many ranks above the divine rank. There were only the divine king, divine sect, divine emperor, and reverend gods. Every rank was not divided into 1 to 9 small ranks. It was divided into beginner, middle, and high ranks. People with the power of the divine sect could be considered strong in this place. We will have to pass by the Jiang family's territory on our way back, so it might be dangerous, Zhuoma said. However, if we put you in Evernew City, that city lord is not a good person. He likes men. You are so good-looking, it will be even more dangerous. Many thanks, Sima Yue said gratefully. In her previous life, she had seen too much deception. She never thought that she would meet such a kind girl here. What are you thanking me for? Actually, it is very dangerous for you to be with us. Although my father said that we will put you in the next city after Evernew City will belong to the Jiang family. If they come early, Zhuoma did not finish her sentence, but Sima Yue understood what she meant. However, she was not worried. Wasn't there still 2 days? No one knew how much she could recover in 2 days. After another 2 days, her body could move again. She still could not open her spirit pagoda, but her spatial ring was completely under her control. They did not enter Evernew City. Instead, they planned to go around the mountain range outside the city to avoid being unable to leave. It was already late, so they found a spacious place to rest. Before entering the mountain, the beast carriage Sima Yue used before was abandoned. Because the mountain path was rugged, beast carriages could not pass through it. Fortunately, her body had mostly recovered. Although her spirit energy had not fully recovered, she had no problem moving around. When they were setting up camp, Zhuoma saw Sima Yue walking around in a circle, but she did not take it to heart. Sima Yue returned to the fire and sat down. Zhuiyang gave her a cold look, showing his dissatisfaction. He really could not understand why Zhuoma had to keep her here. A burden. Late at night, everyone went to rest. Sima Yue suddenly opened her eyes and looked towards Evernew City. Chapter 431. After she was able to open her spatial ring, she took advantage of the fact that they weren't paying attention and ate a 6th-grade healing pill. Although she could recover by relying on her god-devil body, it would be faster with pills. Compared to the lower continents, the primordial lands were much crueler. As mentioned before, tens of thousands of people died every day. Who knew when danger would descend? He had to master his strength first. Sensing the aura coming from Evernew City, she wondered if she should inform the Zhou family. Before she could make a decision, Zhuoran had already opened his eyes. His gaze was naturally in the direction of Evernew City. He was surprised to see Sima Yue awake and looking in that direction. This brat clearly looked very weak, so why did he feel an aura approaching? He stood up. The Zhou family members felt his movement and woke up one after another. "Father, what's wrong?" Zhuoma stood up and asked. Zhuoran said with a calm expression, "It seems that the Jiang family is more anxious than we thought." "Clan head, are the Jiang clan members here?" Zhuiyang asked. Sima Yue frowned as she sensed the approaching aura. It seemed like there were more people than she had expected. Zhuoran also felt it, and his expression changed greatly, saying, "Zhuoma, quickly take those oars and leave. No matter what happens, don't look back. When you return, pass the oars to your third uncle and ask him to hand them over to the Heavenly Tiger Hall." Upon hearing this, Zhuoma's face turned pale. "Father, did a lot of people from the Jiang family come?" "At least 2 high-level god kings." Zhuoran said. He was also a high-level god king, but if there were 2 of them, they wouldn't be a match for them. "Ha ha, it seems like your senses are quite sharp." A voice echoed in the forest, making it hard to distinguish the direction. "You want to leave?" "None of you are leaving today." Several figures came out of the forest and surrounded them. Sima Yue looked at them walking and felt that it was inconvenient to be on the top. Because the laws of heaven and earth were different, god kings could not fly in the air. Even though she could fly in the continent below, she could not fly in the air here. When Zhuoran saw who it was, she said coldly, "Jiang Fei, I didn't expect it to be you." "Aha, my big brother said that since you're personally taking action, we naturally can't fall behind. But he's busy, so he sent me." Jiang Fei laughed loudly and said, "I heard that you found quite a few good ores. If you want to go through my Jiang family's territory, shouldn't you have left some tolls? Don't go to the Jiang family's people to bullies too. SST2s is TST, SST, TTSS, TTSST, ST2 T S S S S S is Jiang. Zhuoran did not expect the Zhou family to send Jiang Fei over personally. As the younger brother of the head of the family, Jiang Fei's status was not ordinary. TSS's, "Are you trying to silence me?" Zhuoran asked. "Wrong. We don't intend to kill all of you. At the very least, we want to kill those who know the location of the small mine, right?" When Jiang Fei mentioned the small mine, his eyes flashed with greed. "If you know what's good for you, then tell us the location of the small mine. Otherwise, when we cripple you and force you to confess, you'll suffer even more. Don't even think about it." Zhuoran refused to compromise. "Even if we die, we won't hand over the mine to you." "Lord Jiang, look at that person." Another high-level god king saw Sima Yue sitting there calmly. He rubbed his hands and swallowed his saliva. This kid was really too handsome. He was 100 times better looking than those people in his family. He never thought that he would meet someone like this when he came here. From the moment he got close, he noticed Sima Yu. That peerless charm made him fall head over heels for her. He couldn't wait to take her back and enjoy her. Only then did Jiang Fei notice Sima Yu. He was also stunned by her appearance. When he saw the Yongxin City's city lord's perverted look, he said, "Don't worry, I'll hand her over to you later." "Thank you, Lord Jiang." The city lord looked at Sima Yu excitedly. His perverted gaze made her feel disgusted. Zhima also saw it. She apologized to Sima Yu and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't expect to bring you trouble." "Don't worry," Sima Yu said calmly. She was not worried or anxious. I told you to let her go. Now, she's taken a fancy to us." Zhui Yang snorted. When Zhuo Ran saw Sima Yu's calm expression, he was surprised. Facing so many strong people, she did not panic at all. Could it be that she had something to rely on? Sima Yu calmly got up from the ground and patted the grass off her body, saying, "Patriarch Fu, since you've saved my life, I'll repay your kindness today." "You?" When Zhuo Ran saw Sima Yu's confident expression, he did not know whether to believe her or not. However, other than believing in her, they had no other choice. "Yue, do you really have a way?" Zhuo Ma looked at Sima Yue with uncertainty. In the past 2 days, she had been close to Sima Yue. She knew that her strength had not recovered and the other party was stronger than her father. Did she really have a way? Sima Yue smiled at Zhuo Ma and said, "Don't worry, nothing will happen to you tonight." After saying that, she looked at the city lord of Yongxin City and said, "I hate it when people try to take advantage of me, especially people like you. It's really disgusting." "Hee boy, when you're in my hands, no matter how disgusting you feel, I have plenty of ways to make you feel good." The city lord of Yongxin City laughed wretchedly. "Let's see if you can survive the night." Sima Yue laughed coldly. When Jiang Fei saw Sima Yu's expression, he felt that something was wrong. A sense of danger rose in his heart. "Who are you?" She was not a member of the Zhuo family and did not have much spiritual energy waves, but it made him feel very uneasy. "Me? I am the one who will take your lives." Sima Yue laughed, like the Grim Reaper in the dark night. She injected spiritual energy into the place where she had been sitting. A bright light shone in the forest, breaking through the darkness and reaching the clouds. Everyone was shocked as a ripple of energy enveloped the entire Zhuo family. Then, an even larger ripple surrounded the entire forest. Everyone was trapped inside, unable to leave. Chapter 432. Array Master? Both the Zhuo family and the Jiang family were stunned when they saw this. At the same time, the Zhuo family was overjoyed while the Jiang family was flustered. "I did not expect you to be a formation master as well. I have underestimated you." Jiang Fei looked at Sima Yue. She had indeed brought about a change in the situation. However, he did not think that Sima Yu's array could trap him. The level of a formation was usually related to the strength of the person who set it up. Sima Yue seemed to have low spiritual power, so she might not have even reached the divine level. Moreover, this array formation could not be achieved without decades or centuries of research. Sima Yu's bone age did not seem to be very old. She had not been learning array formations for long, so she was definitely not very powerful. Thinking of this, his heart relaxed. He looked at Sima Yue and the others and said, "This is just an ordinary defensive array, right? Who knew how many attacks it could withstand from 2 high-level god kings? I'll give you a chance. Close the teleportation array and come out. If you do, I can spare your life." "Spare my life?" Sima Yue sneered and said, "We'll see if you have the ability to break my defensive array." It's just a small defense array," the mid-level divine king said disdainfully. He condensed his spiritual energy and attacked the defense array. The Zhuo family watched as the God King attacked the defensive array. They saw that Zhuo Ran did not move. They watched as the God King's attack drew closer and closer. Their hearts were in their throats. When the attack hit the defensive array, there was no fierce collision as everyone expected. The spiritual energy seemed to have been absorbed by the array and disappeared silently. The God King looked at the light of the defensive array and was so shocked that he was speechless. He was well aware of how powerful his attack was. That was an all-out attack, yet it didn't even budge. The Joie family members were overjoyed. The defense array was so powerful that even a mid-level supreme being could not touch it. That meant that even if Jiang Fei personally attacked it, he might not be able to break it. Since you've already launched an attack, it wouldn't be right if I didn't reply to you. Sima Yue walked to the middle of the defense array and told Zhui Yang to move aside. After he left, she placed the array formation stone into the small groove that he was standing on just now. After the array formation stones were put in, there were no changes inside the defense array. However, white lights kept flashing outside. After the white lights disappeared, the people of the Jiang family went crazy. I'm going to kill you. A younger man suddenly slashed at his companion. You think you can kill me? You've been an eyesore for a long time. Mother of Asterisker, how dare you hit me? I'm going to kill you today, Lord Jiang. I've been longing for you for a long time. Why don't we be together? Even the city lord began to speak crazily. Scram! Those people were talking nonsense as they attacked the people around them. Everyone used all their strength, as if the other party was their enemy for several lifetimes. Jiang Fei and the eternal New City Lord were engaged in a fierce battle. Those elemental paragons who could not withstand the shockwaves from the battle between the high-level divine kings were all killed. When the shockwaves came into contact with the defense array, they were all blocked outside. The Joie family members who were inside did not feel anything at all. These people are too weak. They're all finished so quickly. Sima Yue looked at the fallen bodies and said calmly. The Joie family members looked at her calmly. How did she look like someone who could kill a divine king? Shuiyang thought about how he had always been against her, and his palms were sweating. He did not expect her to be a respected array formation master. If he had known, he would not have dared to disrespect her. However, now that things had happened, what should he do if she held a grudge? He looked at her carefully, afraid that she would hold a grudge and throw him out. Yue, what's wrong with them? Why are they suddenly killing each other? Zhuoma asked. I set up an illusion array outside. Once the illusion array is activated, they will be hallucinating. They will not recognize the people around them and will only treat them as enemies. At the same time, they will express their inner thoughts. Sima Yue explained. But isn't this a defense array? Zhuoma did not understand. She had never seen a defense array that could be used as an illusion array. Sima Yue explained patiently. I didn't just set up a defense array at the start. Later on, I set up an illusion array. The two arrays overlapped. It could be considered an array within an array. Zhuoma stared at Sima Yue in shock. She did not know what an array within an array was, but she knew that it was very powerful. Usually, it was not bad for an array formation master to set up an array. She could actually set up an array within an array. How high was her array formation mastery? The Divine Kings should still be fighting for a while. Everyone should go and rest. After she finished speaking, she returned to her seat and continued to meditate to recover from her injuries. The Joie family members looked at her calm expression and then looked at the battle outside. They all shuddered. However, they were all thankful that Sima Yue was with them. Otherwise, they would have all died here tonight. They looked at the battle outside and realized that no matter how they moved, they could not leave the outermost layer of light. They could only fight inside. In other words, they could not leave at all. They could only fight their way out of the array formation. Seeing this, everyone looked at Sima Yue with fear in their eyes. She was really ruthless. These people came to kill them, but she did not even move. Instead, she killed them all. Most of the night passed, and the sky was already turning white. Sima Yue only opened her eyes now. He's the one who survived? I thought it would be the one from the Jiang family who survived. She looked at the Yongxin City's city lord who was lying on the ground, panting. He was missing an arm, and the meridians in his legs were severed. His flesh was also cut open. He was about as strong as Jiang Fei. He was lucky to be able to win against Jiang Fei and survive. When he was the only one left in the array formation, the illusion array's effect disappeared. Only then did he see the blood and body parts on the ground. He looked at Sima Yue with fear in his eyes. She was a demon. The Zhou family members who had watched from the beginning to the end were deeply shocked and afraid. Sima Yue stood up and walked over. She kept the array formation stone, and the illusion array disappeared. Master, these people... Zhou Ran looked at Sima Yue and asked. He had changed the way he addressed her. Since they are here to deal with you, you can do whatever you want. I don't think you want the Jiang family to know about what happened today, right? Sima Yue said. Her body was not fully recovered yet. She did not want to care about these things. Zhou Ran nodded and said, The few of you, clean up these bodies and blood. Yes, master. Sima Yue went to the nearby river to wash up. When she returned, the Zhou family had already cleaned up the scene. When they saw her return, everyone froze. Chapter 433. Sima Yue noticed their strange behavior, but did not take it to heart. In the primordial lands, everyone admired and feared array masters, not to mention that he had shown them the power of an array master last night. That kind of impact was something they would never forget for the rest of their lives. Master! The Zhou family members greeted her stiffly. They were a little scared when they saw Sima Yue, but more than that, they felt awkward. Previously, they had been gossiping about her. Unexpectedly, she had saved their lives at the critical moment. Sima Yue frowned and said, Don't call me master, just call me Yue. He wasn't used to being called master. The Zhou family members did not show any signs of flattery. Instead, they were more embarrassed and embarrassed. This showed that they were not bad people. If they had tried to flatter her, she might have left by now. Moreover, Zhou Ma had been taking good care of him these past few days, so he could forget about the unhappiness from before. Yue, are you done washing up? Zhou Ma said with a smile. Sima Yue nodded and asked, Is the Jiang family far from here? It's a bit far. If we take a flying beast, it'll take about a day, Zhou Ran replied. Why don't you guys ride the flying beasts? Sima Yue asked. The Zhou family members were a little embarrassed. We don't have any flying beasts. It was only then that Sima Yue remembered that this was already the primordial lands. In this place, not everyone had contracted beasts. This was because those spirit beasts value their bloodlines very much and would not allow their clansmen to become contracted beasts of humans. Now that he thought about it, in the primordial lands, one couldn't fly in the air, contract spiritual beasts, or use teleportation arrays unless one was above the divine sect level. These were even more inconvenient than the lower realms. How far are we from your family? She asked. Based on our current speed, we'll arrive in less than half a month, Zhou Ran replied. Although Sima Yue was not in a hurry, she did not want to waste time on traveling. But she couldn't contact Little Peng right now, so she had no way of calling them out. It would be great if we could find a means of transportation. Sima Yue said, If not, we can find a flying beast. Big? Yue, you can't say these words so casually. If the spirit beasts hear it, it will attract trouble. Zhou Ran said, As long as the spirit beast is willing, it doesn't matter. Sima Yue said, Are there any flying beasts here? Yes. Zhou Ma said, I remember that there is a Luan bird a few mountains ahead. It is a sacred beast. Let's go and take a look. Sima Yue said with her eyes shining. All right, I'll take you there. Zhou Ma was also a little excited. If they could really find a flying beast to ride on, it would be much safer and faster for them to return. Zhou Ran wanted to stop them, but when he saw Sima Yue's confident expression and remembered that she had the same expression last night, he swallowed his words. It would be nice to have a flying beast as a means of transportation. Hence, they packed up their things and rushed towards the Luan bird's location. In the afternoon, they arrived at the mountain where the Luan bird was. From afar, they could see the huge nest in the middle of the cliff. It's there. Zhou Ma pointed at the nest and said, The last time we passed by here, we saw the Luan bird. Sima Yue looked over and realized that the Luan bird was not in the nest. It must have gone out to look for food. Zhou Ma, do you want a Luan bird to be your flying beast? Seeing Zhuoma looking at the nest with a yearning expression, Sima Yue asked, "Of course I want to, but if I want to contract it, I have to tame it first. We have very few beast tamers here. There are not even 2 beast tamers in the entire Heavenly Tiger Ridge." Zhuoma said sadly. Sima Yue rubbed her nose. In the primordial lands, beast tamers were a special profession. Although they had a high status in the human world, they were few in number. This was because the spirit beasts hated beast tamers. Becoming a beast tamer was a dangerous thing. "If I tame it, do you want it?" She turned her head and looked at Zhuoma. Zhuoma was stunned and said, "Yes." "Then let's wait here," Sima Yue said. She then looked at Zhuoran and asked, "How high is that lawn bird? Can you subdue it?" "No," Zhuoran said. "That's a 2nd rank sacred beast." Sacred beasts. 1 rank and 2 ranks of sacred beasts were equivalent in strength. Moreover, because their bodies were stronger, their battle prowess was stronger. A 2nd rank sacred beast strength was equivalent to a high-level divine king. If it had reached the late stage of the 2nd rank, its strength would be equivalent to a low-level divine overlord. Zhuoran was only a low-level divine king. Naturally, he was not a match for this lawn bird. Sima Yue thought for a while and said, "I'll go down for a while. You guys wait for me here." After speaking, she quickly ran towards the opposite cliff. Looking at her speed, it seemed like her body had almost recovered. When she reached the bottom of the cliff, everyone saw her casually throw a few things. Then, she walked around the bottom of the cliff and came back. "Is this enough?" Zhuoma looked at Sima Yue with uncertainty. "It's enough," Sima Yue said confidently. "Today I'll gift you a lawn bird." "All right." Zhuoma looked at Sima Yue and smiled shyly. They waited on the opposite mountain for more than an hour before the lawn bird came back. After circling in the air once, it flew back to its nest. "It's not a pure-blooded lawn bird," Sima Yue commented after seeing the lawn bird. She had met a real, pure-blooded lawn bird in her previous life. Compared to this one, it looked much more noble. "Oh, the taste should also be much more delicious." And this bird only had a little of the lawn bird's bloodline, so it looked similar to a lawn bird. This bird's bloodline was not pure, but it could still become a sacred beast. This meant that its innate talent was not bad. When the lawn bird landed on the nest, the array below was immediately activated. The lawn bird was immediately trapped in the array. The sudden change caused the lawn bird to panic, but it quickly calmed down. Seeing Sima Yue and the rest coming out from the opposite mountain, it said, "Is this your doing?" When it came back, it felt the presence of humans on the opposite mountain. It did not expect them to dare to scheme against it. Sima Yue walked over. Seeing its ferocious look, she was not afraid and said, "It's our doing. I'm going to tear you apart." The lawn bird flapped its wings and wanted to rush over, but found itself trapped in the array. "It's no use. My array can even trap a high-ranking divine overlord, not to mention a level 2 sacred beast like you," Sima Yue said. "What do you want?" The lawn bird stared at Sima Yue with red eyes. "We don't want to do anything," Sima Yue said with a smile. "We just want you to be our flying beast." The Zhou family could not help but frown at her words. She wanted the lawn bird to be her flying beast, and she still said that she did not want to do anything. Chapter 434. The lawn was enraged by Sima Yue's words, but no matter how hard it tried, it was unable to break out of the array. "Don't waste your energy." Sima Yue jumped onto a large rock and said, "If you didn't return to your bird's nest, you might have been able to avoid my array. However, you clearly knew that someone had come, yet you still ignored it. Your conceit has become your fatal killer." The Luan exuded a cold aura and looked at Sima Yue with murderous intent. She was right. When he came back, he smelled the sin of humans. However, he relied on his high strength and didn't put them in his eyes. He didn't even check to see if there was any danger. "What do you want?" It tried a few times, but it found that it was useless, so it stopped. "I said I want you." Sima Yue said, "Be her contracted beast." "No." The Luan firmly refused. You only have two choices. Choose her or die. Sima Yue said. Then I choose death. The Luan said without hesitation. All right, I'll fulfill your wish. Sima Yue did not try to persuade him. Instead, she sent a stream of spirit energy towards the array and a wisp of Qi Yan's flame into it. When the Luan saw crimson flames, its eyes were filled with fear. The temperature of the flames, the aura, it was definitely that person. It wanted to say something, but the flames wrapped around it. The scorching temperature made it feel the aura of death, and the fear of death spread out from its heart. It lowered its head and saw that its feet and wings were burned to ashes by the flames. Then, the flames quickly approached its heart and head. Before the flames engulfed it completely, regret flashed through its heart. Why did it insist on choosing death? At this moment, it finally understood that being alive was more important than anything else. Even becoming a contract beast was better than dying. The last bit of its consciousness was swallowed up, and the lawn bird finally touched the aura of death. Everything returned to darkness. Bang! The lawn bird fell from its nest and landed heavily on the ground. It opened its eyes, which were filled with confusion. Wasn't it burned to ashes by the flames? How'd he come back to life? Sima Yue walked to the edge of the array and looked at its puzzled expression, saying, "Are you curious about how you came back to life? What did you do?" Luan Yao looked at Sima Yue cautiously. "It's nothing. I'll just let you experience death in the illusion." Sima Yue said, "Although it's an illusion, I think your feelings are still very real, right? How does death taste? Do you still want to die? If you still insist, I won't be in an illusion this time." She played with the flame in her hand, her eyes smiling, but the Luan felt as if it had fallen into an ice cellar. It knew that Sima Yue was not joking this time, and she would not give it a second chance. Death or being contracted? It was in a dilemma, but when it saw the flame in Sima Yue's hand, the feeling of death struck its heart again. I surrender. In the end, it was defeated by the illusion just now. It did not want to experience that kind of fear again. All right, Sima Yue kept the flame, saying, "Then come over here. I'll tame you." Luan Yao stood up and walked over, placing its head at the edge of the array. Sima Yue reached out and placed her hand on its forehead. She used the little spiritual energy in her body and began to tame it. Although Luan Yao surrendered, it was still unwilling, so Sima Yue had a hard time taming it. Of course, most of the reason why she was willing was because she had not fully recovered. Fortunately, her spiritual energy was strong. She used it to invade Luan Yao's brain and fought with it. In the end, Luan Yao was defeated. After its spiritual energy was defeated, Sima Yue had a much easier time taming it. Half a day later, Sima Yue retracted her hand. With a wave of her hand, she kept the array stones, and the array was broken. She turned her head and looked at Zhuoma, saying, "Let's form the contract." When the Zhua family saw Luan Yao being tamed, they were stunned. It took a long time for them to regain their senses. They did not dare to speak. They did not even dare to breathe, afraid that they would disturb her training. She moved to the side, and they saw that Luan Yao had been completely tamed. Its previously violent eyes were now filled with confusion. Zhuoma shouted and ran over. It looked at Luan Yao excitedly, then looked at Sima Yue, saying, "You're really giving this to me?" Sima Yue nodded. Oh, Yue, you're too amazing. You're actually a beast tamer." Zhuoma shouted excitedly. "Quickly form the contract. Once it's done, we can continue on our way." Sima Yue urged. Yes. Zhuoma nodded vigorously. It turned to look at its father. Seeing him nod, it turned around and placed her hand on Luan Yao's forehead to form the contract. Very quickly, the contract formation enveloped both of them. It then flashed into the space between their eyebrows. When the Zhua family saw that the contract was successful, they wanted to talk to Zhuoma. However, after taking 2 steps, they saw her and Luan Yao being enveloped by the light of advancement. It actually advanced. Young Miss and her contracted beast advanced at the same time. Is this the effect of the contract? but I've never seen anyone advance after forming a contract. This young Master Sima is too amazing. That's right. Not only is he an array master, but he's also a beast tamer. I don't know what kind of beast taming method he uses. He can actually advance after forming a contract. Young Miss Contracted Beast was originally a level 2 sacred beast. Now that it has advanced to a level 3 sacred beast, wouldn't its strength be on par with a divine sect? Then it's now the strongest in our family. That's right. With it, why would we need to be afraid of the Jiang family? That's great. As the family members discussed excitedly, Zhuoran found it hard to calm down. It could be said that their family's fate had changed in an instant. He looked at Sima Yue gratefully. If he hadn't saved her in the desert, they probably wouldn't have changed so much. Saving her was the best thing they had done in all these years. Very quickly, Zhuoma and the Luan Yao's advancement ended. Zhuoma was so excited that it jumped up. The Luan Yao was also unable to control itself. Thank you, Yue. Zhuoma happily expressed its gratitude to her. You saved me. Sima Yue calmly replied. If she hadn't insisted on saving it, it wouldn't have repaid her today. I still have to thank you, Zhuoma said. Yue, since you can tame beasts, then can you help us tame a few more? If the family members could have more contracted beasts, then wouldn't they be even stronger? When the Zhuo family members heard Zhuoma's words, they nervously held their breaths. Sima Yue hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, Sure, you'll be responsible for bringing them back. Chapter 435. Great. Thank you, Yue. Zhuoma looked at Sima Yue gratefully. Don't worry, we will reward you. They knew that it was expensive for a beast tamer to tame a spirit beast, but even if they had to sell everything they had, they still wanted to increase their family strength. Sima Yue did not say anything. She did not care about the reward either. The main reason why she agreed to their request was because when she first tamed the beast, she realized that the feedback from taming the beast could help her recover her spiritual energy. Although it was only a little, it was still possible to accumulate it. Anything below level 4 sacred beasts is fine. The higher you can catch, the more powerful the spirit beasts you'll get. Sima Yue said, I'm too lazy to go. I'll wait for you here. All right, let's go catch it. Zhuoma smiled and said, With the Luan here, are you afraid that we won't be able to catch it? She smiled as she climbed onto the back of the Luan bird. She called out to her clansmen to get on as well. Then, they flew into the mountains. Sima Yue sat down on a big rock under the nest. There was the aura of the Luan here, so normal spirit beasts would not dare to come here. Yu, I finally contacted you. Are you all right? Little Roar's voice sounded both excited and worried. I'm fine. Sima Yue smiled and said, How is everyone? We're all fine. It's just that we couldn't contact you. Everyone was worried to death. Little Roar said, What happened? When I was in the void, I encountered some people fighting. The spatial passageway collapsed, and I was injured by the void power. That's why I lost contact with the spirit pagoda and the spatial ring. Sima Yue said, But it's already recovering now. The space ring can be opened, and I believe that the spirit pagoda will recover soon. You'll be able to come out then? That's good. Little Roar said, Yu, where are you now? It landed in the periphery. I don't know where it is now. Sima Yue had a headache thinking about this. Once Little Roar heard that they had landed in the outer perimeter, he immediately cried out, Outer perimeter? It's very difficult for people from the outer regions to enter the central regions. How you get to the Divine Devil Valley? Sima Yue said helplessly, I don't know. I've never been to the outer regions before. I'll ask around when we get to a bigger place. We can only do this. Little Roar said, Tell them not to worry. They will be out in a while. Sima Yue said, All right. Sima Yue and Little Roar kept chatting until Zhuoma and the others returned. Yu, we've caught 3 spiritual beasts this time. 2 of them are rank 1 sacred beasts, and 1 is a rank 9 divine beast. Zhuoma said, You've just tamed a sacred beast. We'll bring these back and wait for you to recover your spiritual energy before taming them. All right. Sima Yue looked at the 3 spirit beasts. They were not spirit beasts that lived in groups. If they did, they would not dare to touch them. Let's tame it here. She stood up and walked over. Here? Don't you need to rest? Zhuo Ma said. No need. Sima Yue saw that the 3 spirit beasts had already lost their ability to move. It seemed like the lawn bird was venting its anger on these spirit beasts. You can leave them here and continue to catch them. Sima Yue said. In 2 days, you can catch as many as you can. Is that really possible? Zhuo Ma asked in disbelief. Sima Yue nodded. But we don't have that much money to pay for it. Zhuo Ran said. They were naturally happy that Sima Yue was willing to help them tame spirit beasts. Usually, even if a beast tamer begged, they would not be able to get one. However, they knew that taming a spirit beast was expensive. If Sima Yue helped them tame a few, they would still be able to pay for it. But if it was more, where would they find that much money? That's right, we don't have that much money these past few years. Zhuo Ma also thought of the predicament at home and scratched its face in embarrassment. 1,000 middle-grade crystal stones. Sima Yue said, you only have 2 days. 1,000 middle-grade crystal stones. This price stunned the Zhou clan. However, they quickly recovered and excitedly went to catch the spirit beasts. Taming 1 spirit beast was only 1,000 middle-grade crystal stones. Even if they caught 10, it would only be 10,000. 100 of them would only be 100,000 middle-grade crystal stones. In the past, the Jiang clan had hired a beast tamer out of nowhere and tamed 1 spirit beast for 20,000 middle-grade crystal stones. Sima Yue compared to that. It was simply too cheap. Sima Yue watched the Zhou clan leave, and her gaze fell on the 3 spirit beasts. She walked over and started to tame them one by one. In these 2 days, the Zhou clan had sent back several spirit beasts and sacred beasts. Every time they came back, Sima Yue would tame them without stopping for a moment. They were all worried that she would not be able to handle it. In these 2 days, they had caught a total of 15 spirit beasts. Sima Yue spent 3 to 4 days to tame all of them. This time, those who could come along were the more important people in the clan. The Zhou clan left 4 for the rest of the clan, and the rest for the people present. After Sima Yue finished taming the spirit beast, she told Zhuo Ma that she wanted to go into closed-door cultivation for 2 days. Zhuo Ma immediately said that she would protect her. She thought about it and agreed. After all, this place was not completely safe. She set up an array under the bird's nest and then went into closed-door cultivation. The Zhou clan had obtained the spirit beasts and wanted to go into the mountains to see if they could find any resources. Zhuo Ran and Zhuo Ma stayed behind to protect Sima Yue. Looking at Sima Yue, who was cultivating in the array, Zhuo Ran could not help but sigh. His daughter was right. However, seeing Zhuo Ma's expression, he sighed and said, Child, he is not a fish in a pond. It is impossible for him to stay here. Zhuo Ma's expression stiffened and said, Father, I understand. It's good that you understand. Zhuo Ran looked at his daughter with a pained expression. She had always had high standards. Now that she had finally taken a liking to a man, this was the result. Zhuo Ran looked at Sima Yue's figure in a daze. A few days ago, when she saw Sima Yue open her eyes, she knew that she was a person with a story. It was impossible for her to stay here and live. However, this did not affect her feelings. However, if she knew that Sima Yue was a girl, she wondered if she would still be so insistent. These few days, Sima Yue's body had been recovering. Coupled with the feedback from taming the spirit beasts, she felt that the force that had been shackling the spirit pool since she woke up was loosening. This time, she planned to completely break the shackles and recover her spirit energy. Gotcha! After thousands of attacks, the shackles were finally broken. She could even hear the sound of the shackles breaking. The spirit energy was freed and quickly circulated in her body. She regained control of her strength. Ugh! She let out a comfortable sigh and opened her eyes. Her gaze was like a torch. Chapter 436. Zhuo Ran and Zhuo Ma were shocked by Sima Yue's aura. That aura was definitely not something an ordinary person could possess. Sima Yue sensed the power in her body and guided the spiritual power to circulate in her body again. When she opened her eyes again, her aura was restrained, and she gave off the same feeling as before. She exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, got down from the rock, and opened the defense array. Yue, have your injuries healed? Zhuo Ma asked. Yeah, it's almost healed. Just a little bit more, and it will take some time. Sima Yue said. Congratulations. Thank you. Since you've recovered, let's call them back and prepare to head back. Zhuo Ran said. Seeing that Sima Yue did not object, he took out a signal flare and shot it into the air. Not long after, the Zhuo family returned. This time, not only did they kill an important figure of the Jiang family, but they also obtained so many contract beasts. It could be said that they had gained a lot. It could be said that they were now the strongest in the Heavenly Tiger Ridge other than the Heavenly Tiger Hall. They sat on the back of the Luan bird and flew in the direction of the Zhuo family. Sima Yue felt the wind blowing against her face and sighed that it was faster and more comfortable this way. A journey that would have taken half a month was completed in just 2 days. Seeing them return on their flying beasts, the Zhuo family members all ran out to watch the show. Wow, it's really a flying beast. Look at how beautiful it is. And it's a sacred beast. Why did Patriarch and the others come back on a flying beast? Look, it has landed on Mrs.'s shoulder. Heavens, is that Mrs.'s contracted beast? How could Miss have a sacred beast contract beast? The Patriarch even brought a stranger back. From the looks of it, the Patriarch is very respectful to her. Could she be someone from the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Zhuo Xiao led the group out, and the clansmen all made way for them. Big brother, why are you back so early? How was the journey? Zhuo Xiao looked at Zhuo Ran and the others, surprised that they had returned early. We're fine. Zhuo Ran nodded at Zhuo Xiao. Then the Jiang family. The Jiang clan had received the news and knew that they had gone to dig for ores. How could they not interfere halfway? The Jiang clan has indeed sent someone over, and the one leading them is Jiang Fei. Zhuo Ran said. They even called Evernew City's city lord. Zhuo Xiao was startled and said, 2 high-level divine kings? Then how did you escape? I'll tell you later, Zhuo Ran said, then turned to the side and said, This is Yue. She'll be staying with us for a while. Yue, this is my 3rd brother, Zhuoyang's father. Zhuo Xiao looked at Zhuo Ran and knew that this person's identity was definitely not simple. She respectfully bowed to her. Sima Yue nodded at him. Zhuo Ma, we've been on the road for 2 days. Bring Yue to Shang Yuan to rest. Zhuo Ran instructed. Yes, father. Zhuo Ma said. Yue, let me take you to rest. Then Yue will take her leave first. Sima Yue finished speaking and followed Zhuo Ma into the Zhuo clan. Seeing Sima Yue and Zhuo Ma leave, Zhuo Xiao looked suspiciously at his elder brother and asked, Elder brother, what is Yue's identity? You actually let her stay in Shangyuan. That's a place that only the most respected people can stay. If you don't have a good reason, those elders in the clan won't be able to say anything. Since I let her stay there, she naturally has the right. Zhuo Ran said, Did you see that bird on Zhuo Ma's shoulder? Is that the flying beast that you came back on? Zhuo Xiao asked. When he came out, he heard that they came back on a flying beast. It should be that one. That's right. That's a level 3 sacred beast. It's Zhuo Ma's contracted beast now, Zhuo Ran said, shocking the Zhuo clan. They had already guessed that it was Zhuo Ma's contracted beast, but they didn't expect it to be a level 3 sacred beast. A level 3 sacred beast that was in existence comparable to a divine sect. Their entire clan didn't have anyone with that kind of power. Could it be that you're saying? Zhuo Xiao sucked in a breath and guessed Sima Yue's identity. That's right. She's a beast tamer, Zhuo Ran said. Not only did she tame a sacred beast for Zhuo Ma, she also tamed close to 20 spirit beasts for our clan. Really? Zhuo Xiao and the clan elders who had just arrived all cried out. Of course it's true. Zhuo Ran smiled and said, Call out your contracted beasts. Yes, Patriarch. The clan disciples all called out their contracted beasts, and the lineup gave everyone a fright. They're all sacred beasts, and level 9 divine beasts. The Zhua clan great elder cried out. Not only that, look behind. Zhua Ran waved his hand, and the clan disciples dodged to the side. Behind them were 4 cages containing 4 sacred beasts. These are? The second elder looked excitedly at the tamed sacred beasts. He guessed that they were prepared for them, but he couldn't believe it. These were tamed by Yu Yue. We kept them for you. Zhua Ran said. To tame so many spirit beasts, how much did you pay her? The third elder felt the pinch. Wouldn't the entire Zhua clan be emptied to the cost of taming these spirit beasts? 1,000 middle-grade crystals each. Zhua Ran said. Only 1,000 middle-grade crystals? Zhua Xiao said in surprise. That's not much even if you add them all up. Why would she be willing to tame them for us? Because we saved her in the desert. Zhua Ran said. He told them how he had met Sima Yu and what he had experienced over the past few days. The Zhua clansmen were stunned as they listened. She's also an array master? Yes, if it wasn't for her, we would have been killed by Jiang Fei outside Yongnu City. Zhuiyang said. Speaking of that night, they still had some lingering fear. The scene of the divine kings killing each other was too shocking. She's both an array master and a beast tamer. She's also a great benefactor to the Zhua clan. So, she's worthy of living in the upper court. Zhua Ran said, now that our clan's strength has increased by a lot, third brother, the 3 elders, you should go and contract the spirit beasts first. There will be a surprise waiting for you. Zhua Ran said, all right, we'll go and contract them first. The first elder said, all right, Yue likes to be quiet. Tell everyone not to disturb her. Zhua Ran ordered. Yes, master. When Sima Yue arrived at the upper court, she could feel that it was not a place for ordinary people to live. The things here were obviously better than outside. Zhua Ma could see that she wanted to be alone, so it left. Sima Yue closed the door, then took out a drop of soul fluid and began to cultivate. Because of the changes brought by Sima Yue, the Zhua clan was full of joy. However, everyone remembered that Sima Yue did not like to be noisy. Only the upper court was quiet. Sima Yue went into seclusion for 3 days. When she came out, an uninvited guest came to the Zhua clan. Chapter 437. After Zhua Ran and Zhua Xiao received the news, they hurriedly went outside, just in time to see the beast carriage swaying towards them. The beast carriage stopped in front of the Zhua residence. Zhua Ran and Zhua Xiao stepped forward and bowed respectfully. Welcome to the Zhua residence, Home Master Zhou. The one driving the carriage was a bearded man. He looked like a rough man who only knew how to fight. He got off the beast carriage and turned to open the door. Then, a man in white came out of the beast carriage. Although the man was dressed in white, he couldn't conceal his sinister aura. Greetings, Home Master Zhou. Zhua Ran bowed again. Yes. Zhou Shu Ren's nostrils flared as he glanced at Zhua Ran and said, I am here on orders to investigate the affairs of the Heavenly Tiger Hall. I will be staying here for a few days, so I will have to trouble you to stay at the Zhua residence. For Home Master Zhou to be able to stay in the Zhua clan is our fortune. Zhua Ran said with a smile. I heard that your Zhua clan's best courtyard is even better than my Heavenly Tiger Halls. I think it's called Upper Park. I'll stay there. Zhou Shuren said. Zhua Ran felt bitter in his heart. He thought to himself that he had guessed correctly. Zhou Shuren would definitely want to stay in the Upper Park. This Zhou Shuren was just a Home Master of a Hall, but he was the most arrogant person in the Heavenly Tiger Hall. He had done a lot of things to show off. I'm truly sorry, Home Master Zhou. There's currently a guest living in the Upper Garden. Zhua Ran said. My Zhua clan has another courtyard, what? The fact that our Home Master is willing to stay in your Zhua family is already giving you face, yet you still dare to let him stay elsewhere? A guard interrupted Zhua Ran's words, pointing at his nose and scolding. That's right. Are you trying to show that you don't have any respect for the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Another guard chided. The coachman glared at him, the fury in his eyes chilling. Is that so? Zhou Shuren looked at Zhua Ran, as if he would execute him on the spot if he dared to say anything. No, we are still under the protection of the Heavenly Tiger Hall. How would we dare to act rashly? Zhuo Ran smiled apologetically. It's just that this guest has already moved in a few days ago. If we let her leave now, Home Master Zhou will be living in a place where someone else has lived before. Wouldn't this make Home Master Zhou feel wronged? Zhou Shuren thought he was right. How could he live in a place where someone else had lived before? Who is that person? He actually dares to live in the place our Home Master wants to live in? The guard who spoke first said angrily, "He is a great master, a benefactor of our Zhuo clan." Zhuo Ran replied, "Ask her to come see us." To act, to ran. Zhuo Ran was taken aback. He didn't expect them to be so persistent even after he had said so. However, he didn't dare to offend Sima Yu and evaded. Hall Leader Zhou, he is currently in closed-door cultivation. I'm afraid it wouldn't be good to call him now. So you're not going? Although Zhou Shu Ren's character wasn't good, he wasn't an idiot. After a few times, he could tell that Zhuo Ran was protecting Sima Yu. Two, how would we dare to offend the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Even if we had the guts, we wouldn't dare. Zhuo Ran explained. The Hall Master of the Heavenly Tiger Hall was a high-ranked divine overlord. It was said that he was one step away from becoming a divine emperor. He was the highest ranked in this area. Furthermore, the Heavenly Tiger Hall had many members. Even if the Zhuo family's strength had increased, they would not dare to go against the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Ding San, go and bring that person here. I want to see what kind of person she is. She is protected by the Zhuo family. Zhou Shu Rin snorted. Yes, Hall Master. The first person replied. He walked past Zhuo Ran and entered the Zhuo family. Zhuo Ma, who was hiding behind the main door, heard the words. Her expression changed. She turned and ran towards the garden. Zhuo Ran and Zhuo Xiao were shocked. They bowed and said, Hall Master Zhou, the garden is rather remote. Let me go and get her. Lord Ding San, you don't have to make the trip. No need. I don't think you will be able to get her. Let Ding San go. Ding San, you go. Zhou Shuren laughed coldly. Yes, Hall Master. Ding San turned and continued walking. Hall Master, this Lord Ding San has never been to the Zhuo family before. I'm afraid he won't be able to find the garden. Why don't I lead him there? Zhuo Xiao said. Ding San stopped again. That's right. He had never been to the Zhuo family before. He really didn't know the location of the garden. Then you lead the way, Zhou Shuren said. Yes. Zhuo Xiao cupped his hands and said. He then walked in front of Ding San and said, Lord Ding San, please. Zhuo Xiao led Ding San to another path. He knew that Zhuo Ma and the others must have already gone to warn Sima Yue. Indeed, when they reached the garden, Sima Yue had already come out of seclusion. He knocked on the door and said, Lord Yue, Heavenly Tiger Hall's Hall Master Zhou would like to invite you over. Heavenly Tiger Hall's Hall Master Zhou? Who is that? Why should I go over? Sima Yue's voice came from inside the house. She didn't show herself. That cold voice caused Ding San's face to darken. She actually looked down on the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Who are you? Hurry up and come out. He roared. Who do you think you are? You think you can make me come out just because you want me to? You think too highly of yourself. Sima Yue said. Zhuo Ma was still in Sima Yue's house. Hearing her speak to the Heavenly Tiger Hall like that, her little heart thumped wildly. If she offended the Heavenly Tiger Hall, how would she be able to borrow the teleportation array from them? At this moment, her heart was filled with thoughts. If she offended the Heavenly Tiger Hall, what would happen to the Zhuo family? Sima Yue had already learned about the Heavenly Tiger Hall on the way back to the Zhuo family. She knew that they were always doing evil and had a bad impression of them. Just now, Zhuo Ma had hurriedly rushed over to tell her that the Heavenly Tiger Hall wanted her to leave because she was staying in the garden. She didn't have a good impression of them. She would leave just because they wanted her to? They really thought too highly of themselves. Didn't the Heavenly Tiger Hall have a high-ranked divine overlord? Even if his power was close to that of a divine emperor, he was only comparable to a late-stage, third-rank sacred beast. Just because the Zhuo family didn't dare to offend them didn't mean that she didn't dare to. Ding San was fuming with anger at Sima Yue's words. Ever since he joined the Heavenly Tiger Hall, and followed Zhou Shu run. No one had dared to speak to him like that. This Sima Yue was too arrogant. In his anger, he immediately condensed his spiritual energy and attacked her door. He thought that he would be able to break the door and see what was inside. However, his spiritual energy was blocked by something at the door and was reflected back. Zhuo Xiao had been standing at the back from the start. When he saw his spiritual energy being reflected back, he quickly retreated. However, Ding San didn't react so quickly. He was hit by the reflected spiritual energy. Pong! Ding San was sent flying to the entrance of the courtyard, his limbs in the air. You don't have the right to see me. Go back and call your master. Sima Yoyue's voice sounded out. Chapter 438. Third Ding crawled up from the ground and wanted to attack again. Zhuo Xiao hurriedly went forward and said, Lord Third Ding, it's best that you don't attack. There's an array here. If you attack again, it will only attack you. Third Ding's spirit power paused, and his expression turned ugly. There's a formation master inside. That's right, it's an array master. You see, the spiritual power that was bounced back just now is the effect of the array master. Zhuo Xiao's face was serious, but he was laughing in his heart. Who told you to flaunt your strength all the time? Now you've kicked an iron plate, haven't you? There was no array master in the entire Heavenly Tiger Ridge. You still dare to provoke an array master? Do you have nothing better to do? Serves you right. Scram! Sima Yoyue's voice rang out again. Third Ding was filled with anger, but he did not dare to vent it out. He could only grit his teeth and leave dejectedly. After they left, Sima Yue said to Zhuo Ma, You should go back first. Zhuo Ma was a little worried, but seeing Sima Yue's unquestionable expression, she nodded and said, That Zhou Shu Rin may not be strong, but he is a relative of the Heavenly Tiger Hall's Hallmaster. His position in the Heavenly Tiger Hall is not ordinary. I got it. Sima Yue nodded. Zhuo Ma wanted to say something, but seeing Sima Yue's indifferent expression, she swallowed her words and said, Then I'll go back first. Sima Yue looked at Zhuo Ma's gloomy eyes and sighed in her heart. However, she did not say anything and let her leave. Yu, I really didn't think that you would be able to attract a peach blossom debt like this. Little Roar appeared in her embrace and sneered. The spirit pagoda couldn't be opened yet, so Little Rock and the others couldn't come out. Because Little Roar had a soul contract with her, he was able to come out these 2 days. Sima Yue saw that even Little Roar could come out, and guessed that the day when the spirit pagoda would be opened was not far away. She rubbed her brows and said, I didn't know it would be like this. I'm such a nice little girl. I originally wanted to wait for the spirit pagoda to open before leaving, but it seems like I have to leave early now. Actually, since I was able to come out, the time for the spirit pagoda to open shouldn't be too long. Little Roar said, However, going from the outer regions to the inner regions is too troublesome. I don't know where to go in. We can only go to a bigger place to take a look. Sima Yue said, Tianhu Ridge is considered a more backward place. In the past, we even said that we wanted to come to the outer regions to take a look. If only we were here back then. Little Roar was nestled in Sima Yue's embrace with his 4 paws facing the sky. He stretched out his short little legs and played with her long hair. Even if we came, it would be useless. The Heavenly Tiger Ridge is so small, we wouldn't come. Sima Yue said, but at least we know where to go to the central region. Unlike now, I'm in the dark. We'll know when we ask. Sima Yue said, That's the only way. Little Roar imitated Sima Yue and sighed. Suddenly, his long ears moved and said, They're here. Sima Yue also felt that they were here and placed Little Roar on the table. Then, she changed the position of the array stones in the house and added 2 more. Zhou Shu Rin's face darkened as he came to the upper park. Behind him were Ding San and Zhuo Ran. Just now, Ding San came out of the Zhuo residence in a sorry state. He did not bring along the person who dared to occupy the place he wanted to stay. Instead, he said that he was yelled at by the other party and that he had to go see her personally. Someone actually dared to challenge his authority. He immediately brought his men and rushed in. Originally, He wanted to punish Sima Yue on the spot. However, he did not expect to find out that she was an array master. He was in a difficult position. An array master status was extremely respected. It was no wonder that the Zhou family allowed her to stay in the upper park. However, he had already challenged her, and she even injured his men. He could not take this lying down. As the saying goes, you have to look at the owner before you hit the dog. If he did not care when his own dog was hit, how could he continue to stay in the Heavenly Tiger Ridge? How could he raise his head in front of the other Hall Masters? Hall Master, it's here. Ding San pointed at Sima Yoyue's room door and said, "There's an array here?" Zhou Shuren looked at the normal room door and looked at Ding San suspiciously. His gaze was unkind, as if he would teach him a lesson if he dared to lie to him. "Hall Master, it's true. I was injured by this array just now." Ding San nodded and said with certainty. However, Zhou Shuren still did not believe it. How could there be an array that could reflect attacks? "Go a try," he ordered. "Hall Master." Ding San looked at Zhou Shuren with a bitter face. Seeing that he was about to explode, he could only swallow his words and helplessly take a few steps forward. The Zhou family members all took a few steps back and distanced themselves from Ding San. Zhou Shuren also wanted to leave. However, if he left, wouldn't that mean that he believed their words? "Go," he ordered. Ding San saw that he had made up his mind and condensed a bit of spiritual energy to attack Sima Yoyue's door. The spiritual energy touched a layer of ripples in front of the door. As if it had bounced off a spring, it flew back in the direction it came from, and the attack power increased by several times. The moment Ding San attacked, he jumped to the side, and the spiritual energy that bounced back hit Zhou Shuren directly. Bang! Zhou Shuren was sent flying by the spiritual energy and landed at the door of the courtyard. "Ding San, I told you to try, and you did as you pleased. You actually dared to use so much power. Cough, cough, I'll chop you into pieces." Zhou Shuren cursed as he climbed up and glared at Ding San. "Hall Master, when did I use so much power? You saw it. I only threw a bit of spiritual energy over." Ding San said aggrievedly, "It's this array that increased the power by 10 times. It has nothing to do with me." "It doesn't matter. Can't you just stand in front and block it? You actually dared to run away. You're really looking for death." Zhou Shuren scolded. "Hall Master, I already said that it would bounce back. You were the one who didn't believe me." Ding San looked at his master pitifully. Under the latter's threatening gaze, his voice became softer and softer. "So noisy." Sima Yoyue's voice came from the house, and the courtyard immediately quieted down. Especially Ding San and Zhou Shuren. The two of them did not dare to speak. The other party's array was able to make them so embarrassed. What else could they use to clamor for the other party to give this place to them? Zhou Shuren glared fiercely at Zhou Ran. He did not know where the Zhou family had found this array master to be able to set up such a powerful array. Based on his understanding of the Heavenly Tiger Ridge, this person was definitely not from there. "I heard that you wanted me to scram and give you a place to stay." Before Zhou Shuren and Zhou Shuren could speak, Sima Yoyue's voice came again. It was obvious that she was questioning them. Zhou Shuren did not dare to provoke Sima Yue now. However, the array was dead while the person was alive. They did not dare to touch her in the array. However, what if they brought her outside? Thinking of this, his lips curled into a cold smile. However, he said respectfully, "Grandmaster is here. How would I dare to act rashly? I heard that the Zhou family had an array master and was afraid that the Zhou family would not be able to serve you well. I would like to invite you to the Heavenly Tiger Hall as a guest." Chapter 439. When the Zhou family heard Zhou Shuren's words, they could not help but twitch their lips. This person was really shameless. Just a moment ago, he was still clamoring for people to teach Sima Yue a lesson. In the blink of an eye, he was flattering her. "Invite me as a guest." Sima Yoyue's voice could be heard. She seemed to be in disbelief, but at the same time, she wanted to see for herself. Hearing her tone, Zhou Shuren knew that there was hope. He quickly said, "Yes." Since Great Master has come to the Heavenly Tiger Ridge, the Heavenly Tiger Hall naturally has to play host to you. Please come over to our place and stay for a few days. I heard that the Heavenly Tiger Hall is the strongest power in the Heavenly Tiger Ridge. I want to go and take a look too. I wanted to wait for the Joie clan to pay their tribute and go take a look with them. If Great Master wants to go, there's no need to wait until it's time to pay tribute. You can do it now, Zhou Shuren said. I can bring Great Master to the Heavenly Tiger Hall. You? Aren't you here to investigate the affairs of the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Sima Yue asked curiously. Those matters can be put aside for now. Bringing Great Master to the Heavenly Tiger Hall is of utmost importance. There's no rush. I still have some matters to attend to in the next 2 days. You can go and settle your matters first. After 2 days, we will leave for the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Sima Yue said. Zhou Shuren hesitated. What if Sima Yue ran away in the next 2 days? Creak. The door opened and Sima Yue walked out. Zhou Shuren found it hard to believe that the so-called array master was such a young lad. Hall Master Zhou, you can rest assured and handle your matters. I will be at the Zhou clan for the next 2 days. 2 days later, I'll have to trouble you to bring me around the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Sima Yue said, Is 2 days enough time? Enough. I'll come back in 2 days, Zhou Shuren replied. Goodbye. He bowed to Sima Yue and left with his men. Although he wanted to leave with Sima Yue immediately, he felt that he could not make it too obvious. If she found out and did not want to leave with him, it would be troublesome. After exiting the Zhuo residence, Zhou Shuren immediately instructed, You two stay here and guard her. Make sure she doesn't leave. Hall Master, are we really bringing him to the Heavenly Tiger Hall? The coachman asked. How is this possible? Third Ding knocked on the coachman's head and said, That person is currently in the array and we can't do anything to her. When she comes out of the array, wouldn't she be at our mercy? Oh, I see. The coachman nodded in understanding. Both of you, keep an eye on him. Don't let anything go wrong. If I can't find him in 2 days, I'll hold the two of you responsible. After Zhou Shuren finished speaking, he got on his beast carriage and let the coachman drive the carriage away. After Zhou Shuren left, Zhuoran looked at Sima Yue worriedly and said, I'm really sorry. We didn't know that Zhou Shuren would come here. This has nothing to do with you. Don't blame yourself. Sima Yue said. Yue, do you really want to go to the Heavenly Tiger Hall with him? Zhuoma asked. Sima Yue nodded. Yue, this Zhou Shuren is a narrow-minded person. You've offended him this time. If you leave with him, I'm afraid you'll be in danger. If you want to go to the big city, why don't you wait until it's time for us to pay our tribute? Zhuoran disagreed. There's no need. If I don't leave, the Heavenly Tiger Hall won't let you off. Sima Yue said, Moreover, I want to go out and gather some information. All right then. Hearing Sima Yue say this, Zhuoran and the rest didn't insist. In these 2 days, Sima Yue set up a defensive array for the Zhuo residents. Of course, she had to pay for it. It wasn't easy for the Zhuo family to meet an array master and one with such high attainments. They naturally had to grab hold of this opportunity. Although it was expensive, they had to borrow money to get it. Otherwise, if she left, where would they go to find another array master? Sima Yue was willing to wait for another 2 days to see if there were any changes to the Spirit Pagoda. If Little Roar could come out, then the other contracted beasts should be coming out soon. Moreover, she and the Spirit Pagoda were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. There should be a huge change in the next 2 days. Sure enough, after 2 days, she was able to summon all her contracted beasts. With Chongming and the rest, she had the confidence to go deep into the tiger's den. Once the 2 days were up, Zhou Shuren came to the Zhuo residence. He found out from his subordinates that Sima Yue hadn't left the Zhuo residence at all. Only then did he relax. Sima Yue carried Little Roar out of the Zhuo residence. The moment she stepped out, she saw Zhou Shuren's flattering face. She bid farewell to Zhuoran and the rest, and entered Zhou Shuren's carriage. Zhou Shuren followed in and closed the door. The coachman drove the carriage away. Hall Master Zhou, you're a Hall Master. How come you don't even have a flying beast? Sima Yue said as she reached out and patted little Roar's back. Great master, you may not know this. Beast tamers are very rare. We haven't had a beast tamer here for a long time. Therefore, only the previous hall masters had flying beasts. Although Zhou Shu Run was unhappy, he still explained with a smile. Originally, the hall had one. However, I wasn't in a rush when I came out, so I didn't take a flying beast. 2 days isn't enough for me to rush back. Sima Yue's mind turned. It had been a long time since a beast tamer had come here. Were there too few beast tamers on this continent, or was this place too remote? How long does it take to get a heavenly tiger hall from here? About 20 days. Sima Yue's hands trembled. 20 days. The people above really had long lives. They weren't afraid of wasting time. She didn't want to waste so much time. Moreover, she didn't think that Zhou Shuren would give her such a long time. He was still respectful towards her now because he hadn't found out her true strength. She guessed that he would make a move on her soon. Just as she had guessed, Zhou Shuren had been using chatting as an excuse to get information from her. However, she didn't say anything. Instead, she went along with his questions and told him about herself. Something about how she came up from the continent below and how she had not recovered from her injuries. Zhou Shuren saw that she wasn't lying. After knowing her true strength, he was elated. Since she came up from the continent below, it meant that she didn't have a strong background. If he killed her, it wouldn't bring about any trouble. Since she had not recovered from her injuries, it meant that she didn't have any other combat abilities other than formations. As long as he didn't let her set up any formations, it would be fine. They walked for 7 to 8 days. After Zhou Shu Run confirmed that Sima Yue really didn't have any combat abilities, he finally revealed his true identity. At that time, they were resting in a valley. Zhou Shuren asked his 3 subordinates to surround Sima Yue. He looked ferocious and planned to kill her. Sima Yue didn't panic. She smiled and said, I thought that you would make your move after leaving the Zhou family for 2 to 3 days. I didn't expect you to be so cautious and wait for so many days. However, I need these few days to prepare myself. Thank you so much. Chapter 440. Zhou Shuren felt that Sima Yue's words had a hidden meaning, but he could not figure out what was wrong with this scene. Shouldn't she be afraid of being surrounded by 3 God-ranked experts? How could she still smile so calmly? And what did she mean by that? Why should she thank him for giving her so many days? Could it be that she still had some sort of trump card? Since he couldn't figure it out, Zhou Shuren decided not to think about it anymore. In any case, the arrow was already knocked on the bow, and he had no choice but to release it. Go! Kill her for me, he ordered. 2 of Ding San's group of 3 were elementary god kings, and 1 was an intermediate god king. If they wanted to deal with an elementary god king, this should be a battle without any suspense. However, the 3 of them hadn't even started to move yet. What was going on with the people who appeared out of nowhere in the valley? Oh my God, after being trapped for so long, I can finally see the outside world. Fatty Chu stretched lazily and sighed comfortably. I haven't seen Yue for so long. I miss you. Are these people from the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Bei Gong Tang looked at Zhou Shu Run and the others, her eyes filled with undisguised, killing intent. They already knew what Sima Yue had been through the contract beasts in the Spirit Pagoda. They also knew that Zhou Shu Run wanted to kill Sima Yue, so they surrounded them as soon as they came out. Who are you people? Zhou Shu Run was shocked when he saw Wei Ziqi and the others. Did these people appear out of thin air? It was impossible for her to transform into a living person, which meant that Sima Yue had something that could contain a living person. What a treasure! If he could reach it. Seeing the greed in Zhou Shu Ren's eyes, Sima Yue said, I've learned everything I need to know. They're useless now. Then let's end this quickly. Sima Yulin said. Sima Yuming and the others immediately acted. They wanted to kill their precious little brother. They were really looking for death. Even though there were only 4 of them, the presence of an intermediate god king was enough to suppress them. That was why Sima Yulu and the others all went up. Although they had not yet advanced to the rank of Divine King, they had absorbed quite a few spirit stones in the Spirit Pagoda, which was the spirit energy from the rare crystals. They were not far from advancing in rank, and their battle prowess was not too far off. Ding San and the rest had always relied on the name of the Heavenly Tiger Hall to intimidate others. Their strength was all a facade, and their battle prowess was not strong. Now that they suddenly saw more people, they were mentally subdued. For people were besieged by 11 people, and they were quickly defeated. Sima Yue did not give them a chance to speak. She immediately killed the 4 of them and turned them into ashes with her flames. After cleaning up the fleas, everyone was finally in the mood to talk to Sima Yue. Sima Lai came to Sima Yue's side and put his hand on her shoulder. He looked her up and down and asked, "Yue, are you okay?" Sima Yue shook her head. "Grandpa, I'm fine. Have all your injuries healed?" Sima Lai asked worriedly. "They're all healed. Look, the Spirit Pagoda has returned to normal. This means that I'm fine." Sima Yue waved her hands, showing that she was really fine. "Fifth bro, don't think that we're long-winded. When you lost contact with the Spirit Pagoda, Grandpa was scared to death. He was worried that you had already... It was only when he saw that little roar and the others were here that he relaxed." Sima Yuran said, "That's right. When we saw that you couldn't even contact your contracted beasts, we knew that you must have been seriously injured. If we don't see you recover with our own eyes, we won't be at ease." Sima Yuming said. Sima Yuen naturally understood how they felt. She also proved to them that she had completely recovered, so they no longer asked about her injuries. "Right, Yue, where are we?" Fatty Chu asked. Sima Yue told them about the situation in the primordial lands, and the group of people's faces immediately turned bitter. "So you're saying that life in the primordial lands is worse than life in the primordial lands?" Sima Yulu sighed. They couldn't fly in the sky, couldn't use teleportation arrays, and couldn't even contract spirit beasts. It was much worse than the continent below. Heavenly Tiger Ridge belongs to the southern 7th state. "Beigong, do you know this place?" Sima Yue asked. "That's right. Beigong, your family is in the outer regions. You should be more familiar with the outer regions, right?" Fatty Chu said. Beigong Tang shook her head, saying, "I've heard of the southern 7th state, but I've only heard my family mention it once." "Where is your family?" Wei Ziqi asked. "My family is in the central region. It's the largest region in the outer regions. There are 10 large regions in the outer regions. Northern 7th state, Northern 5 seas, Eastern 3 provinces, Eastern 10 hills, Western desert, Western desolation, Southern 7th state, Southern 1,000 peaks, Central region, and Central state." Sima Yue said, "Every region has countless other regions. The primordial lands is really big. It's just the outer regions, but it's already so big." Fatty Chu sighed. "That's right. We want to go to the central regions. Looks like we have to go to the larger regions first." Wei Ziqi said. Sima Yue looked at Beigong Tang, saying, "Why don't we go to the central region first?" Beigong Tang's body stiffened. Were they going back? Ever since she left, she had always wanted to go back. But now that she was really here, she was a little afraid. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to see her mother and younger brother. If that happened, she didn't know what would happen to her. Sima Yue patted her shoulder, saying, "Don't be afraid. We'll be with you." Beigong Tang saw the encouragement in Sima Yue's eyes and nodded, saying, "Then let's go to the central region first." If her mother and the others were still here, she would save them and take revenge on the people who attacked them. If they were no longer here, then she would definitely destroy the entire Beigong family. "Then let's go to the Heavenly Tiger Hall's Hong City first." Sima Yue called out Little Rock. She also called out Ouyang Fei's companions, Sang Mu Yu and Little Tuesday. Since everyone was out, it would be boring if it was just the 2 of them. Hong City was similar to a provincial capital. It was the largest city in the Heavenly Tiger Ridge. It was said that most of the people in the city were from the Heavenly Tiger Hall. However, they were considered outer disciples. Only inner disciples had the right to live in the Heavenly Tiger Hall. and those who didn't belong to the Heavenly Tiger Hall had to pay a protection fee like the other clans if they wanted to live here. Only after paying the protection fee could they open their doors and do business in the city. Sima Yue and the others had already been in Hong City for 2 days. The moment they entered, they felt that the atmosphere in the city was a little strange. The people on the streets looked at them strangely, as if they were surprised that they would come here. They found an inn and wanted to stay for a while. But before they could say anything to the innkeeper, a group of uniformed men rushed in. Every one of them looked like hooligans. When they saw Sima Yue and the others, they walked over with their noses in the air and asked with disdain, "Are you the people who just entered the city?" Chapter 441. Sima Yue and the rest looked at the group of people. From their attire, it was obvious that they were from the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Seeing the fearful expressions on the faces of the people around them, other than the Heavenly Tiger Hall, no one else had such power. "We just entered the city not long ago. Is something the matter?" Sima Yuming spoke on behalf of everyone. "It's like this. When you enter the city, each of you will have to pay an entrance fee of 1,000 low-grade crystals, and each of you will have to pay a protection fee of 500 mid-grade crystals. You have a total of 1 to 13 people, so 13,000 low-grade crystal stones and 6,500 mid-grade crystal stones." The man in the lead said this. When the surrounding people heard that man's words, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. 12,000 low-grade crystals and 6,000 mid-grade crystals. This was enough for a normal spirit master to live for several months. "Why should we hand it over?" Sima Yuming said. "When we entered the city, nobody said that we had to pay an entrance fee, and I didn't see any soldiers standing guard there to ask us for it. Isn't it unreasonable to ask for an entrance fee now?" "What do you mean by reasonable?" "Our Heavenly Tiger Hall's words are the law," the man said. "Besides, the entrance fee has always been charged. It's normal that you don't know about it, since it's your first time here." Indeed, Hong City had always collected entrance fees. However, because the Heavenly Tiger Hall's entrance fee was too expensive, no one wanted to be bullied by them. Hence, the number of people visiting Hong City had decreased over the past 2 years. When the people from the Heavenly Tiger Hall saw that no one was coming, they decided to withdraw their guards. They would only receive the news when someone came in and collect the city fees and protection fees. "Since we didn't collect the entrance fee when we entered the city, we shouldn't talk about it now. As for the protection fee, we don't need your protection. Please go back." Sima Yuming refused as expected. "Don't they have crystal stones?" He did, but he didn't want to give it to the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Furthermore, they did not expect to get along well with the Heavenly Tiger Hall. After all, Zhou Shuren had left with Sima Yue. Now that Zhou Shuren was dead and she was still alive, the Heavenly Tiger Hall would definitely pin the blame on her. In any case, it was only a matter of time before they shed all pretense of cordiality. There was no need to compromise now. When the people in the main hall of the inn heard what Sima Yuming said, they were all shocked. Did they know who they were talking to? Refusing to pay the city entrance fee and protection fee had serious consequences. The members of the Heavenly Tiger Hall were rejected so decisively that they could not react in time. Once they were sure that they had been rejected, they immediately flew into a rage and raised their voices. "What did you say? What did I say? Are you deaf or stupid?" Sima Yuming glanced at him and said lightly, "Ha ha ha." Although they were afraid of the Heavenly Tiger Hall, the surrounding people could not help but laugh when they heard his words. After being glared at by the Heavenly Tiger Hall members, everyone lowered their heads. However, it seemed like they were trying to hold back their laughter. "You dare to oppose the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Are you tired of living?" The man in the lead shouted, "Men, these people are disrespectful to the Heavenly Tiger Hall. They must be spies sent from other places. Capture them all." When the surrounding people heard his words, they couldn't help but roll their eyes in their hearts. How long had it been since an outsider came to Tianhu Ridge? Who would want to be a spy in a small place like yours? Why don't you take a look at yourself and see if there's anything that's worth it for others to covet? However, They only dared to think about it and not say out loud. They did not have the guts to oppose the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Sima Yue looked around. These people were just beginner divine kings. To outsiders, this group was not bad. However, if they wanted to deal with her, they were still lacking. Aside from Sangmu Yu, the others were all true divine kings. They even outnumbered them by a few. When they saw that the Heavenly Tiger Hall members were really going to capture them, the people in the main hall quickly ran out. Even the shopkeeper and the waiter fled. Capture them all. The man in the lead roared again. Those people took out ropes and prepared to tie them up. Bang Dash, the person who was near Sima Yue, was sent flying with a kick. He landed on the table and broke it. Little Roar was lying on Sima Yue's shoulder. When he saw her attack, he shook his head and sighed in his heart. Ever since she regained her memories, Yu had become more and more violent. You still dare to retaliate? All of you attack together. The Heavenly Tiger Hall members attacked together. Sima Yuming and the others naturally did not stay idle. They all waved their fists and attacked. Then was not big. If they used spirit energy, they would be injured as well. That was why they could only fight with their fists. However, their fists were no match for Fatty Chu. He punched them one by one. Very quickly, those people were all thrown out. Since we've already entered the city, we naturally won't pay the entrance fee. We don't need your protection, so don't disturb us. Please leave. Sima Yuming said. The Heavenly Tiger Hall members crawled up from the ground. They looked at the people in the room and shouted, "Just you wait. Those who dare to offend the Heavenly Tiger Hall will not have a good ending. Let's go and report to the Vice Envoy." Those who were watching the show did not think that the outcome would be like this. When they saw the Heavenly Tiger Hall members leave, they could not help but cheer in their hearts. How many years had it been? No one had dared to beat up the Heavenly Tiger Hall members. However, there were also people who urged Sima Yu and the others to leave quickly. You should leave quickly. The Heavenly Tiger Hall members have never been taken advantage of. Now that you've beaten them up, I'm afraid that they will bring more powerful people. You should leave before they come. Leave the Heavenly Tiger Ridge. Otherwise, you won't be able to escape. Fatty Chu and the others laughed, saying, since we dare to beat them up, we naturally won't be afraid of their revenge. Everyone saw that they were all divine kings. Hearing their confident words, they could not help but shake their heads. These people were too young. They did not know how big the world was. Innkeeper, give us 13 rooms. Sima Yuchi said. The innkeeper was in the crowd. He was in a difficult position. These people had offended the Heavenly Tiger Hall. If he let them stay here, wouldn't he be causing trouble for himself? Sima Yu looked at the innkeeper and waved her hand. 100 middle-ranked crystals appeared on the counter. She looked at the innkeeper and asked, "Do you have a room?" When the people outside saw her casually take out 100 middle-ranked crystals, they knew that it was not that they did not have money. They really did not want to pay the Heavenly Tiger Hall. When the innkeeper saw the middle-ranked crystals, his eyes shone. He quickly walked over and kept the crystals, saying, 13 rooms. Yes, yes. Waiter, why aren't you bringing them in? When the waiter saw the way his boss was acting, he smiled and said, Dear guests, please follow me. I will bring you to your rooms. Sima Yu followed the waiter. Before she left, she looked at the innkeeper who was happily hugging the crystals. Her eyes flashed with a strange light. Chapter 442. The shopkeeper held the crystal stones and smiled foolishly, causing everyone to shake their heads. This shopkeeper loved money too much. He even dared to offend the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Wasn't he afraid of being captured by the Heavenly Tiger Hall as well? Only Sima Yue and the others could see that this inn was not an ordinary inn. The innkeeper was also not an ordinary innkeeper. Even if the shopkeeper loved money, he would not lose his life for money. The reason why he dared to accept Sima Yue and the rest was because he was not afraid of the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Moreover, Sima Yue could not sense the shopkeeper's strength, which meant that his level was not low. It might even be beyond her imagination. She was not the only one who thought of this. Sima Yulin and Sima Yuran were also deep in thought. This is your room. These are the keys. If you need anything, just call us." The waiter said as he handed the keys to Sima Yuming, then went downstairs. Sima Yuming distributed the keys to everyone, and everyone returned to their rooms to rest after receiving the keys. Sima Yue walked around the house and went downstairs. When the shopkeeper saw her, he smiled at her. Sima Yue walked over and placed a bag of middle-grade crystals on the table. When the shopkeeper saw the crystal, he immediately asked with a smile, "Is there anything you need?" 50 mid-grade crystals for some information, Sima Yue said directly. The shopkeeper looked at the crystals, then looked at Sima Yue and said, "I don't know much about the Heavenly Tiger Hall. If you give me such a huge reward, I will feel embarrassed." "I don't want news from the Heavenly Tiger Hall," Sima Yue said. She already knew about the Heavenly Tiger Hall from Zhou Shuren. There was no need for her to find out more. "Then what do you want to know?" The shopkeeper asked. "I want to know what's happening outside the Heavenly Tiger Ridge," Sima Yue said. The shopkeeper's eyes flashed, and he said, "How would I know what's going on outside the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Shopkeeper isn't from the Heavenly Tiger Ridge. How could he not know what's going on outside?" Sima Yue said with a smile, not giving him a chance to refuse. "If the shopkeeper doesn't want these mid-grade crystals, then I won't make things difficult for you." As she spoke, she wanted to take back the crystal stones, but before she could touch the bag, a big hand took the bag away. "Speak, what do you want to ask?" the shopkeeper said. Sima Yue looked at the shopkeeper's reluctant expression and smiled, asking, "I would like to know if there are any other ways to leave the Heavenly Tiger Ridge other than the teleportation array in the Heavenly Tiger Hall." "Yes," the shopkeeper said. "What is it?" Sima Yue asked. "The Heavenly Tiger Ridge is very small. If you take a flying beast, you can get out in a few months," the shopkeeper replied. Sima Yue's mouth twitched. What kind of answer was that? Are there no other teleportation formations? She asked. "No." The shopkeeper shook his head. "The Heavenly Tiger Ridge is very remote compared to other places, and there aren't many cultivation resources. Those big powers aren't willing to come here." "Then why are you here?" The shopkeeper paused and said, "I was asked to come here. Who knew that not long after I arrived, the Heavenly Tiger Hall's teleportation array broke down? I was too lazy to take a flying beast, so I stayed behind." "The Heavenly Tiger Hall's teleportation array broke down?" Sima Yue was stunned. "Yes." The shopkeeper looked at Sima Yue and said, "You want to use this teleportation array to get out, right?" Sima Yue nodded. They had come to the great city to use the teleportation array. Now that it was broken, how are they going to get out? "You guys are really daring. You wanted to use their teleportation array and even beat up their people," the shopkeeper said. "What can we do? Who asked them to be so greedy?" Sima Yue shrugged, as if it wasn't her fault. "Where does the Heavenly Tiger Hall's teleportation array lead to?" "Flower City, a place that's bigger than the Heavenly Tiger Hall." The shopkeeper said above Flower City is Cloud City, and a little bigger is Innumerable Green City. Innumerable Green City and a few other cities are the central regions of the state. Sima Yue saw that the shopkeeper was very familiar with these places, and guessed that this shopkeeper wasn't like what he said. However, she didn't care about his private matters. "Do you know how to get to the central region?" The shopkeeper didn't expect Sima Yue to ask about the central region, and said, "The central region and the 7 southern prefectures don't have a good relationship. They rarely interact with each other. But there must be a teleportation array to get there, right?" Sima Yue asked. "There are, but those few powers can't just casually enter," the shopkeeper said. "Tell me which powers have it." Sima Yue felt more and more that this shopkeeper wasn't an ordinary person. He knew too much about the outside world. "The closest one is, of course, the Innumerable Green Palace," the shopkeeper said proudly. "The Innumerable Green Palace is the biggest power in this region, and they manage the land and water here. If you want to go to the central region, you can only go through the Innumerable Green Palace." "What about the other powers?" "There are a few other powers like the Innumerable Green Palace, but if you want to go there, the journey will take you a long time. Without a teleportation array, it will take you at least a few years to get to the other places." The shopkeeper said, "But teleportation arrays aren't something that can be found anywhere. This isn't the central region. where there are many teleportation arrays. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. He had been to the central region? Why would such a person stay here? No matter what the reason was, she believed that it wasn't because the teleportation array was broken, and he didn't want to ride a flying beast. After that, Sima Yue asked the shopkeeper for more information about Flower City and Innumerable Green Palace. The shopkeeper told her everything in detail, but he increased the price twice. As Sima Yue understood the information, she was even more convinced that this shopkeeper wasn't an ordinary person. "Shopkeeper, if you want to leave with us in the future, I will charge you a high price," Sima Yue said with a smile. It wasn't easy to earn money from her, especially from the shopkeeper. If she didn't pay him, he wouldn't sell her any information. 200 middle-grade spirit stones wasn't much to her, but she didn't like being taken advantage of. The shopkeeper knew that Sima Yue was saying that the price was too high. However, he didn't take her words seriously when she said that she would leave with them. Although he had stayed here long enough, he had been thinking about leaving recently. Sima Yue turned around and prepared to go upstairs. Just as she turned around, she saw a woman leading a group of people in from outside. These people were the Heavenly Tiger Hall people that Sima Yue and the rest had thrown out. Hall Master, they're the ones who didn't pay the entrance fee and protection fee, and even threw us out. She is one of them. The Heavenly Tiger Hall people pointed at Sima Yue and said. Sima Yue looked at the Heavenly Tiger Hall people and thought to herself that they were pretty fast. It had only been a while, and they had already called for reinforcements. The woman who was addressed as Hall Master wasn't angry. She looked at Sima Yue from head to toe, and her perverted look made her frown. Chapter 443. Tisk TSK. What a beautiful girl. Zhou Shuyu stared at Sima Yue, almost drooling. Zhou Shuyu. When Sima Yue heard the name, she took a closer look at her face. She did look similar to Zhou Shuren. How dare you? How dare you call our hall master by his name? The man who had been beaten up roared. Zhou Shuyu waved her hand to stop that person from shouting. She looked at Sima Yue and smiled. You know me? What's your relationship with Zhou Shuren? Sima Yue asked. He's my brother. Zhou Shuyu smiled and said, Brat, you even know my brother. It seems like we're fated to meet. Sima Yue rolled her eyes in her heart. This was called fate? However, it was indeed fate. He had just killed her brother, and she had delivered herself to his doorstep. I don't want to have any fate with you. How can that be? Zhou Shuyu looked at Sima Yue angrily. I've already taken a liking to you. I'm going to make you my 18th husband. How could we meet if we weren't fated to meet? This Zhou Shuyu was originally quite good-looking and had quite the charm. Her anger and anger made many people's hearts itch. Today, when she returned to the hall, she saw her subordinates beaten up badly. She wanted to scold them for being useless and punish them. Then, she would send someone else to deal with Sima Yue and the others. However, she was told that there were a few good-looking men among them. Therefore, she personally sent someone to deal with this matter. She didn't expect to see the man. She couldn't take her eyes off as soon as she came in. Her heart instantly flew away. Sima Yue could not help but feel disgusted at the mention of her 18 husbands. She said, I have no interest in a middle-aged woman like you. A middle-aged woman? Zhou Shu's face fell. She looked like she was in her 30s. Because her strength was growing slowly, she was slowly showing signs of aging. What she hated the most was being called old. Don't refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Zhou Shuyu said, for people like you who openly oppose the Heavenly Tiger Hall, we can punish you on the spot. Even if you don't think for yourself, you have to think for your companions. Using you in exchange for their freedom, this is a good deal. I don't want to accept a toast, much less a forfeit. If you don't want the Heavenly Tiger Hall to lose any more face, you'd better take your men and leave. Sima Yue said indifferently. She didn't care about the Heavenly Tiger Hall at all. One arrogant brat. Zhou Shuyu had never been spoken to like that in all these years. She scolded, Men, arrest her for me. Once we've caught her, we'll execute the others on the spot. Yes, Hall Master. 2 guards came out from behind Zhou Shuyu and answered. Oh no, we're going to fight again. If you break anything, you'll have to pay for my losses." The innkeeper cried out when he saw the situation and ran out of the inn. Sima Yue glanced at the innkeeper. She didn't see any fear in his eyes. Instead, she saw a trace of excitement. Could it be that he had run out like this the last time they fought? Yue, Sima Yulin, and Bei Gongtang ran down from above and stood beside Sima Yue, facing off against the heavenly tiger hall. When she saw Sima Yulin, Zhou Shuyu's eyes lit up. This guy was also handsome. However, when she saw Bei Gongtang, her expression turned ugly. She pointed at Bei Gongtang and said, "Arrest these two guys. Kill this girl after she's disfigured." "Hall Master, this girl looks pretty good. Why don't you give her to our brothers?" A vulgar guy said with a smile. "That's fine too. However, you have to disfigure her face after you've used her." "I don't like her face," Zhou Shuyu said. "Thank you, Hall Master, for your reward." The guys behind all smiled vulgarly. They looked at Bei Gongtang as if they were stripping her clothes off. Wei Ziqi and the others came down from above. When they heard what the Heavenly Tiger Hall's men said, they were all furious and filled with killing intent. Sima Yue laughed coldly, saying, "You really are born from the same parents. You and your brother are just as disgusting. Can we kill these people directly?" Fatty Chu asked. Sima Yue and Bei Gongtang were their goddesses. How could they allow their goddesses to be desecrated like this? "Yes," Sima Yue said. "Okay." With Sima Yue's permission, Fatty Chu rushed forward with his fists clenched before the Heavenly Tiger Hall's men could do anything. Little Two was even more furious and joined the battle with red eyes. Although he was young, because he had the blood of a spirit beast, his battle prowess was not low. "Who told you to have designs on my sister? Who told you to have designs on my brother? I'll beat you to death," Little Two said as he fought. After a few punches, those people were knocked unconscious. After that, he looked for the next target to attack. When the shopkeeper outside saw Little Two, his eyes flashed with surprise and interest. The Heavenly Tiger Hall's men realized that the opponent's body was stronger and knew that they had no advantage in close combat. They all flew outside. Sima Yulin and the others chased after them. The people on the streets quickly dispersed in case they were implicated. Sima Yue directly faced Zhou Shuyu. Because they could not fly, they could only fight on the streets. This was the first time that Sima Yue had fought someone head-on since she had advanced to the divine rank. When she had killed Zhou Shurun, they had ganged up on him, unlike now. Zhou Shuyu was at the peak of the beginner divine king rank. She was slightly higher than Sima Yue. However, because she liked to do things between men and women, her body was weak and her battle prowess was not strong. Zhou Shuyu took out a whip. Sima Yue recognized that it was a top-ranked saint tool. It was close to the divine rank. If she used it to attack, the power would double. Slap! Zhou Shuyu's whip was laced with spirit energy. It created a gust of wind in the air. Sima Yue did not dare to take it head-on. She dodged to the side, avoiding the whip. At the same time, she turned Ling Long into a whip in the spirit pagoda. Zhou Shuyu saw that Sima Yue's reaction was fast. She dodged her whip and her hand shook. The whip chased after her again. Sima Yue happened to be forced to the wall. Seeing the whip chasing after her, she ran 2 steps towards the wall and did a backflip to avoid it. "Do you think only you have a whip?" she said as she took out Ling Long. She threw out a whip, and it tangled with Zhou Shuyu's whip. Sima Yue realized that after reaching the divine rank, spirit tools were much more useful to them. This was because their attacks with spirit tools could double their attack power. This was the first time that she had used Ling Long as a divine tool. Previously, she had used pots and pans, daggers and hammers. Of course, in everyone's hearts, the one that left the deepest impression was still the frying pan. Chapter 444. Zhou Shuyu did not expect Sima Yue to have a spiritual weapon that was not inferior to hers. She moved and realized that her whip was completely suppressed by Sima Yue's whip. "You first," just like that, the two of them faced each other with the whip between them. "I didn't expect you to be so strong at such a young age," Zhou Shuyu said, "but I don't know how good your whip is." After saying that, she exerted some force, and the whip moved flexibly, separating itself from Sima Yuyue's whip. She then lashed out again, but the whip seemed to come alive as it attacked Sima Yuyue from all directions. Sima Yue had to admit that Zhou Shuyu's whip was very good. It looked like a set of whip techniques that could make the opponent unable to dodge and increase the power of the whip. However, her whip was not weak either. Although she had never practiced whip techniques, she had the advantage of the fact that Ling Long was an ancient artifact. It had a spirit and could freely change its length. It was simply a cheating artifact. With Ling Long's flexibility, Sima Yue was able to force Zhou Shuyu to dodge. Towards the end, Zhou Shuyu could not even use her whip and could only whip randomly. Zhou Shuyu was struck by the whip, and a long gash appeared on her clothes. Her flesh was badly mutilated. If it was just an ordinary whip, it definitely wouldn't have such an effect. Another whip hit, and Zhou Shuyu's back was almost exposed. How is this possible? Zhou Shuyu was hit twice in a row and was shocked. Her whip technique was already close to the level of an earth-level spiritual technique. How could she miss her opponent and be whipped twice? She saw that Sima Yoyue's whip seemed to be swinging casually. There was no whip technique to speak of, but the whip was very tricky. It could always dodge her whip and get close to her body. "Do you know where your brother is now?" Sima Yue suddenly asked. Zhou Shuyu's heart skipped a beat upon hearing her words. For the past 2 days, she had been looking for her brother for something, but she couldn't get in touch with him no matter how hard she tried. She sent someone to investigate, but there was still no news. "You know about my brother?" "Of course I do." Sima Yue smiled evilly. "Because your brother was with me for the last few days of his life." Zhou Shuyu's body trembled as she used her whip to shake Sima Yue away. She looked at her and asked, "What did you do to my brother?" "Kill him." Sima Yue spat out these 2 words lightly, as if it was a very ordinary thing. "You kill my brother." Zhou Shuyu was a little mad. "I want to keep you alive to play with, but you kill my brother. Today, I want your life." After saying that, she waved her whip again. This time, it was even faster than before. The whip was condensed with even more spiritual power, making it even more powerful. Sima Yue swung Ling Long at an even faster speed. The onlookers could barely see their movements. After a few rounds, Zhou Shuyu was kicked to the ground by Sima Yue. PFFF, Zhou Shuyu spat out a mouthful of blood and collapsed to the ground. She was breathing out more than she was breathing in. Sima Yue came to her side and said, "I don't care how many people you've harmed over the years, but you shouldn't have come to provoke us." After saying that, she shot out a flame and burned Zhou Shuyu to ashes. She killed Hall Leader Zhou. She's not afraid of the Heavenly Tiger Hall's revenge. She's so young, but she's so powerful. The others aren't bad either. The Heavenly Tiger Hall didn't get any benefits. Who are they? They don't look that old, but their battle power is so strong. I'm more interested to know what will happen to them in the future. The Heavenly Tiger Hall will definitely not let this matter rest. That's right. I don't know if they're really strong or if they're just young calves who aren't afraid of tigers. I think they're strong. No matter how strong they are, can it be compared to the Heavenly Tiger Hall? The innkeeper looked at the people around him who were discussing animatedly. He thought for a moment, then straightened his back and said, Why don't we set up a bet? I'll be the banker. We'll bet on their final situation. If they're killed by the Heavenly Tiger Hall, the payout will be 1 to 10. If they're safe and sound, the payout will be 1 to 50. If they destroy the Heavenly Tiger Hall, the payout will be 1 to 100. How about it? Does anyone want to bet? Innkeeper Cho, is what you said true? Of course it's true. Innkeeper Cho chuckled and said, I'll set up a bet in the main hall of the inn. If you want to participate, come. Haha, it's been a long time since something so interesting happened in Hong City. This is a bet without any suspense. Let's place our bets later. We'll definitely win. We'll go too. While they were discussing the bets, the Sima family had finished off the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Seeing the corpses on the ground, they didn't feel any pity. If they were the weaker party, they would be the ones lying on the ground today. Sima Yue looked at innkeeper Cho, who was trying his best to persuade the people to place their bets. She couldn't help but twitch her mouth. Things had happened in front of his inn, but he wasn't worried that the Heavenly Tiger Hall would be implicated. Instead, he was in a mood to set up a bet. I say, innkeeper, you used us to set up a bet. Shouldn't you give us a share of the profits? Innkeeper Cho looked at Sima Yue and said with a smile, if you can survive, I should give you a share. Sima Yue didn't say anything else. She waited for Sima Yue and the others to clean up the corpses before bringing everyone back to the inn. They're going back just like that? Everyone watched as they went back just like that. Their eyes widened. Weren't they too careless? If they didn't take it seriously now, they would be afraid when the Heavenly Tiger Hall members came. Only Innkeeper Cho smiled as he watched Sima Yue and the others leave. He looked at the waiter who was still in a daze and slapped him on the head. What are you still standing there for? Why aren't you going back to set up the bet? Oh, I'm going back. What's there to hit? The waiter muttered as he returned to the inn. He took out a wooden board with the odds written on it and placed it on a table. Just like that, the bet was set up. The news that a few people had killed the leader of the Heavenly Tiger Hall quickly spread throughout the entire great city. At first, everyone thought it was a joke and didn't take it seriously. However, the more they talked about it, the more serious it became. They even talked about how the inn had set up the bet. Only then did everyone believe it. They even went to place their bets. Bang! In the Heavenly Tiger Hall's discussion hall, a middle-aged man slammed the table fiercely. He looked at the person reporting the news and said, "Is what you said true?" Replying to Vice Hall Master, "It is absolutely true. Vice Hall Master Zhou has indeed been killed by those people. There's also news that those people have killed Vice Hall Master Zhou as well." What did you say? No pop-up window. Our address. We will provide handwritten versions of our works. You can download them in TXT format for free. Chapter 445. It turned out that Zhou Shuren and Zhou Shuyu were both hall masters of the same branch. Zhou Shuren was the hall master, while Zhou Shuyu was the vice hall master. Vice hall master, we lost contact with hall master Zhou a few days ago. When Sima Yue killed vice hall master Zhou today, she said that she had already killed hall master Zhou. The person kneeling on the ground said, "Where are those people?" The vice hall master asked. "They're all at the inn." The guard replied, "Inn." When the members of the Heavenly Tiger Hall heard the name of the inn, they all frowned. It was obvious that this was not a place they wanted to offend. "Go and capture them," the Vice Hall Master ordered with a solemn face. Vice Hall Master, in my opinion, it's best if we don't go and capture them right now. A man sitting below said, "Why?" The Vice Hall Master looked at that person unhappily. If he couldn't give a good reason, he would definitely blame him. The man was not intimidated by his aura and said, "Those people dared to kill the Deputy Hall Master of our Heavenly Tiger Hall on the streets. They even said that they killed Branch Hall Master Zhou. If it wasn't for the fact that they're strong enough to not be afraid of us, then they must have some status that we don't dare to touch. If we act rashly, it might bring us some trouble. Why don't we send someone to check their identities first? If it's not the two situations mentioned above, it won't be too late to arrest them and punish them." Hearing his words, the others also fell into deep thought. His words were not without reason. "Vice Hall Master, I agree with Hall Masterbai's idea. These people suddenly appeared in the Heavenly Tiger Ridge. We should treat them seriously. If something like Shopkeeper Cho happens again. Last time, they also went to look for trouble with Shopkeeper Cho. At that time, he was just a servant who had just entered Huqing. They also went to collect protection fees, but they were rejected and beaten up. Later on, the people they sent were all beaten up by him. Only then did they know that they had provoked a difficult person to deal with. In the end, the Hall Master had to personally apologize and compensate them with a lot of things before the matter was settled. Later on, Shopkeeper Cho opened an inn in Hong City and named it an inn. From then on, this place became a special place in Hong City. This was the only place where they didn't dare to collect protection fees. After so many years, such a thing had happened again. They had to treat it seriously. The Vice Hall Master also thought of this matter and said, since that's the case, then send someone to the inn to closely monitor their movements, and then send more people to investigate them. Branch Hall Master Zhou went to the Zhou clan and then disappeared. I think we should send more people to investigate. Perhaps we will find something. Go. Yes, Vice Hall Master. Sima Yue and the rest were staying at the inn. The onlookers initially thought that the Heavenly Tiger Hall would send people to deal with them quickly. However, after waiting for an entire day, there was no movement at all. Only the shopkeeper, who was counting the money behind the counter, felt that there were more people outside. However, he only smiled and did not say anything. At first, Sima Yue and the others were surprised when they saw that no one came. However, they realized that there were people watching them from outside. They must have gone to check on them. Sima Yue and the rest were not in a hurry and stayed in the inn. However, in order to avoid being caught one by one, they did not go out to shop. In these 2 days, Sima Yue and Bei Gongtang came downstairs and smiled as they walked to the counter. Looking at Shopkeeper Cho, she said, Shopkeeper Cho, your income is not small. Shopkeeper Cho saw the smile on Sima Yue's face and subconsciously covered the crystals on the counter, saying, these are uncertain. If you're killed by the Heavenly Tiger Hall in the end, I will have to pay a lot of compensation. As he spoke, he threw out a book and said, look at this thick book. It's full of people betting on your death. Sima Yue took it and flipped through it. TSK. There were at least 10,000 people betting that they would be killed by the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Innkeeper Cho took out a booklet and said, this is for your safety. Sima Yue took it and quickly finished reading it. Because there were only 100 people on it, there were only a few pages. What's the other possibility? She thought of another possibility. Even if they destroyed the Heavenly Tiger Hall, the shopkeeper did not take it out. There's not a single person on that. Shopkeeper Cho said, speaking of which, if I wasn't the banker, I would have bet on that. Unfortunately, it's useless even if I bought it. There's no one to compensate me. Sima Yue looked at Shopkeeper Cho, who looked as if he had lost a lot of money, and said, if you dare to bet like that, aren't you afraid of losing a single cent? I've lived for so many years. I'm quite good at judging people. Shopkeeper Cho said. Sima Yue laughed, saying, Shopkeeper Cho looks handsome and refined. Don't tell me you're actually an old monster that has lived for thousands of years. Indeed, Shopkeeper Cho looked to be in his 20s or 30s. His white robes made him look even more elegant, but his greedy eyes made him seem like an ordinary person. Hearing her say this, Shopkeeper Cho pursed his lips. An old monster that has lived for thousands of years? How could he be that old? At the very least, it should be 50% more than 50%. Speaking of which, we've already agreed that if you use us as stakes, we'll get a share. I don't want much, just half of it will do. Sima Yue said with a smile. Half. Shopkeeper Cho almost jumped when he heard this. You didn't do anything. How can you get half? Why not? Sima Yue said. You didn't do anything either, right? You only got someone to copy your name, but we contributed the manpower. That won't do. Shopkeeper Cho rejected decisively. At most, I'll give you 30%. 30%. Sima Yue placed both hands on the counter and looked straight at Innkeeper Cho, saying, do you believe that I can make it so that you won't be able to earn a single cent and even lose everything? Shopkeeper Cho's eyelids twitched. His instincts told him that this person could really do what she said. All right. He waved his hand, saying, I can give you half, but don't charge me a high price in the future. After saying this, he was stunned. Why did he say this? Sima Yue smiled, saying, that depends on what kind of work it is. But seeing that Shopkeeper Cho is so straightforward, I'll give you a 10% discount in the future. After saying this, she and Bei Gongtang prepared to leave. After taking 2 steps, she turned back and said, these bets are not accurate. You can trick a few more people to place their bets. After saying this, the 2 of them left, leaving the shopkeeper to ponder over her words. Not a single one of them was accurate. Could there be other possibilities? Should he believe her? Forget it. He should believe her. If he lost, wouldn't she be unable to earn any money? Thinking of this, he suddenly slapped his thigh and shouted, "What a loss! I only said that I would give her half of the profits, but I didn't say that if I lost, she would have to pay half as well." Chapter 446. After deliberating for 2 minutes, shopkeeper Cho decisively adopted Sima Yoyue's suggestion and increased the odds for the last two bets. As expected, it attracted another 100 people to place their bets. Not enough, not enough. Shopkeeper Cho looked at the account book with a sad face and sighed continuously. Hearing his dissatisfaction, the waiter looked at him with disdain and said, "Shopkeeper, let's raise the odd for the first one even higher." "What do you know?" Innkeeper Cho glared at him and said, "There are already a lot of people who belong to the first category. Look, 90% of them belong to the first category. If there are any more and they get killed by the Heavenly Tiger Hall, we will have to compensate them so much that we won't even have our underwear left." "TSK, do you think I don't know you? Weren't you sure that they would be fine? Even if something happened, you would go against the agreement and let them be fine," the waiter said with a face of disbelief. "That's true." Innkeeper Cho thought it through and said, "Then release the news and change the compensation rate from 110 to 120. In just 2 days, nearly 10,000 people came to place their bets. Sima Yue was speechless when she saw the results. It seemed like not many people thought that they would survive. At this moment, everyone in the Heavenly Tiger Hall was looking curiously in the direction of the meeting hall. Ever since the incident with shopkeeper Cho, the hall master rarely showed himself. All the decisions in the hall were made by the vice hall master and the elders. Today, he came out of seclusion again, which meant that something big must have happened. In the conference hall, everyone was silent as they looked to Hall Master Zhou Heimo, who was sitting on the main seat. Zhou Heimo looked to be in his 40s. He was not tall, but he gave people a sense of absolute oppression. "What's going on this time? How did you offend a formation master and a beast tamer?" His deep voice was filled with anger. It seemed like he was unhappy that he had offended Sima Yue and the rest. According to the information we've gathered, Hall Master Zhou offended her because he tried to chase her out of the Zhou family's upper park. As for Vice Hall Master Zhou, it was because they didn't pay the entrance fee and protection fee. When he went to deal with them, he took a fancy to that master's beauty and wanted to snatch it back. That was why he was killed by her. A branch hall master said, "So you're saying that she wasn't the one who provoked the Heavenly Tiger Hall?" Zhou Heimo asked. The hall masters looked at each other and had to admit this fact. They nodded and said, "Yes." "If it weren't for the fact that I happened to come out of seclusion, would you have caused the same thing to happen again?" Zhou Heimo asked. The people below were silent. "But Hall Master, those are the children left behind by Little Ant. We said that we would take good care of them. Now that they have been killed, are we just going to let them go?" Vice Hall Master Zhou Hai Min said unwillingly. "A master who is both a beast tamer and a formation master. Is he someone we can easily offend?" Zhou Heimo scolded. Zhou Hai Min disagreed and retorted, "But we've also checked. They're just people from the lower continent. They don't have any status or background. Even if we kill them, no one will say anything." "Fool!" Zhou Heimo looked at his own brother and said, "Is it because you've been in charge of the Heavenly Tiger Hall all these years that you've become arrogant and complacent? Do you think that you can kill anyone? That's a beast tamer and a formation master. If you can't kill him, once he has the chance to leave, how can the Heavenly Tiger Hall continue to exist?" "But they—" Zhou Haimin wanted to say something, but his brother glared at him. "Are you trying to say that they aren't strong enough?" Zhou Heimo said. Zhou Haimin didn't say anything, silently agreeing with his brother's words. Do you know how strong a formation master is?" Zhou Heimo snorted. "You've only seen their strength on the surface. You haven't seen the killing power of the formation master. Furthermore, their strength isn't weak. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to kill the Hall Masters of the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Or do you want to try the effects of the Formation Master?" How could Zhou Haimin not know the power of a Formation Master? but he wanted to avenge his family more. You'd better give up on the idea of settling scores with them. From now on, you can't think of revenge. Instead, you have to treat them with respect. Otherwise, if you bring trouble to the Heavenly Tiger Hall, I'll be the first to not let you off. Do you hear me? Got it. Although he was unwilling, Zhou Haimin still responded. Then Hall Master, what should we do now? One of the Hall Masters asked. We've already provoked them twice. We can't offend them now. Instead, we have to go and apologize. If we can be on good terms with them, that would be the best. Even if we can't be on good terms with them, we still have to erase the grudges from before. Zhou Heimo said. Then who's going to do this? Zhou Heimo thought for a moment, then said, I'll go personally. Hall Master. The Hall Masters looked at Zhou Heimo in shock. He actually wanted to go personally? Ever since the Heavenly Tiger Hall's teleportation array broke down, we have less contact with the outside world. As a result, everyone has become frogs at the bottom of a well. Zhou Heimo said, an array master or a beast tamer master would have a very high status in the outside world. As for someone who is both an array master and a beast tamer master, even in a higher power, they would be treated with great respect. Now that we've offended them, we naturally have to go and apologize. Are they still in the inn? Yes, other than that Sima Yue and Bai Gong Tang who came out once, no one else has come out. Someone replied, go to the warehouse and retrieve some good treasures. Zhou Heimo instructed. Yes, Hall Master. When the Heavenly Tiger Hall's members found out that the Hall Master had personally gone to apologize to Sima Yue and the rest, they were all shocked beyond words. They had been waiting for orders from above to capture Sima Yue and the rest. Now that they had been ordered to treat the other party with respect, their hearts were in a mess. What was even more inconceivable were the people of Hong City. When they saw the important figures of the Heavenly Tiger Hall personally appear at the inn, they all thought that their eyes were playing tricks on them. Oh, even the Hall Master is here. Innkeeper Cho looked up and saw Zhou Heimo, smiling as he said. Zhou Heimo saw that Innkeeper Cho was still the same as he had been for the past few decades. Other than his aura becoming more unfathomable, there was no trace of it on him at all. He smiled and asked, how had you been all these years, Innkeeper Cho? Innkeeper Cho chuckled and said, good. It's just that your people broke many of my tables and chairs, but you didn't compensate me. Aren't you going to compensate Innkeeper Cho for the tables and chairs? Zhou Heimo glanced at Zhou Haimin who was beside him. Zhou Haimin reluctantly came to the counter and asked, how much? Not much, just 10,000 middle rank crystals. Innkeeper Cho narrowed his eyes and said. Zhou Haimin was furious, but he still accepted his fate and gave him 10,000 middle rank crystals before returning to Zhou Heimo's side. Innkeeper Cho, is Great Master Sima still here? Zhou Heimo asked. Innkeeper Cho blinked, his heart skipping a beat. Great Master? Chapter 447. Sima Yue was reading in her room when she heard someone knocking on the door. Sir, the people from the Heavenly Tiger Hall are here. They want to see you. The waiter said from outside. Sima Yue opened the door and saw the waiter. Are you sure you want to see me and not catch me? No. It's the Heavenly Tiger Hall's Hall Master who came personally. He said that he wanted to see you and apologize in person. The waiter said, didn't they say that the Heavenly Tiger Hall was unreasonable? I killed their branch leader. Instead of coming to arrest me, they came to apologize to me? Sima Yue said, this Heavenly Tiger Hall is indeed not a good place, but their Hall Master is still passable. It's just that he's focused on cultivation and left this Heavenly Tiger Hall to his younger brother to manage. That's why it's become such a foul place. The waiter said, Sir, they're waiting downstairs. You can leave first. Sima Yue said, Okay, then I'll go downstairs first. The waiter finished speaking and went downstairs. Sima Yue looked at the way the waiter walked and knew that he was not an ordinary waiter. The doors of the other rooms also opened after hearing the knock. After hearing the waiter's words, the waiter said, Yue, are we going down? Yes, of course. Sima Yue said, Zhuoran previously said that the Heavenly Tiger Hall was not bad, or else it would not have developed so much. Later on, for some reason, it became what it is today. I think it must be because the Hall Master's younger brother came to power. Now that their Hall Master is here, we naturally have to go down and meet him. We should all go down. Sima Lai said. All right. Downstairs, Zhou Heimo and shopkeeper Cho were drinking tea at a table. When Sima Yue came down, she saw the two of them sitting opposite each other and raised her eyebrows. Why would innkeeper Cho drink tea at the same table as someone else? When shopkeeper Cho saw Sima Yue, he pouted angrily and said, There, she is Sima Yue. Zhou Heimo stood up and cupped his fists towards Sima Yue. He bowed deeply and said, Great Master Sima, I am the Heavenly Tiger Hall's Hall Master, Zhou Heimo. I have come specially to apologize for the Heavenly Tiger Hall's previous offense. When the other members of the Heavenly Tiger Hall saw their Hall Master bowing, they all bowed in apology. Many people had already gathered outside the inn. When they saw the people from the Heavenly Tiger Hall, they thought that they would capture Sima Yue and the rest or execute them on the spot. Innkeeper Chao's apology was just an excuse for them to come down. However, he did not expect that the Heavenly Tiger Hall would really bow and apologize when both parties met. Sima Yue looked at Zhou Heimo. She could feel his apology. But as for the others, she could tell at a glance that they were just putting on an act. Hall Master Zhou is too courteous. Sima Yue waved her hand. She was actually a very easy person to talk to. She did not hit a smiling person. Since the other party had come to apologize, she would not fight to the death. Of course, this was on the premise that the apology was sincere. Zhou Heimo took out a space ring and handed it to Sima Yue with both hands, saying, This is a little apology that we have prepared for offending Great Master. We hope that Great Master will accept it. Sima Yue took the ring and scanned it with her spiritual energy. When she saw the pile of items inside, she smiled and said, Hall Master Zhou is too courteous. I'm a little embarrassed that you are like this. This is what I should do. That Zhou Shu Run and Zhou Shiyu did not know the gravity of the situation and offended Great Master. They deserve to be beheaded. Zhou Heimo said, I've already warned them not to cause trouble. They did not listen to my advice, so the blame is on them. Sima Yue looked at Zhou Heimo. She could tell that he really felt that way and said, We are very grateful that Hall Master Zhou does not blame us. Since Hall Master Zhou has personally come to apologize and compensate us, we will not be able to continue harping on past grievances. As long as the Heavenly Tiger Hall does not provoke us in the future, we will not find trouble with you. When Zhou Heimo heard Sima Yue say this, he heaved a sigh of relief and bowed deeply again, saying, Thank you, Great Master Sima. When the other members of the Sima family saw that Zhou Heimo had lowered himself, and Sima Yue had also said that this matter was over and would not pursue it any further, they were no longer so wary. Hall Master Zhou, I heard that if you want to leave the Heavenly Tiger Ridge, you have to first sit on a flying beast for a few months and then use the Heavenly Tiger Hall's teleportation array. Sima Yue said, That's right. Zhou Heimo said, In the past, we still had many connections with the outside world. However, a few decades ago, the teleportation array was broken. After that, no array master came to fix it, so our connections with the outside world were basically cut off. Could it be that no one is willing to sit on a flying beast and leave? Fatty Chu asked. It's not that no one is willing, it's that no one dares. Zhou Heimo said, No one dares? Why? Because there are spirit beasts living in the areas where we are connected to the other ridges. If we want to leave, we have to pass through their territory. However, where do we have the power to go to the spirit beasts? Zhou Heimo said with a bitter smile. Spirit beasts? Sima Yue looked at innkeeper Cho, who had returned to the counter to settle accounts. Was he here because of this? The teleportation array is broken, and there are spirit beasts outside. That's why no one has entered or left the Heavenly Tiger Ridge for a long time. Zhou Heimo said, I heard that the teleportation array is not open to outsiders. I wonder if we could take a look at the teleportation array? Sima Yue asked. It was not difficult for her to set up a teleportation array, but she needed to know the geographical coordinates of the place. If she set it up carelessly, she might not be able to leave the Heavenly Tiger Ridge. Instead, she might be sent directly to the Spirit Beast territory. If she wanted to take a look at their broken teleportation array, she might be able to get the coordinates of the outside world. If that was not possible, they could only choose to pass through the Spirit Beast territory. When Zhou Heimo heard this, his eyes lit up and said, "Of course you can. If possible, we would like to invite all of you to the Heavenly Tiger Hall as guests." This Sima Yue was an array master, and the array she set up was very powerful. This showed that she had high attainments in array formations. If she could fix the teleportation array, they would be able to leave in the future. Let's not go as guests. We are used to being idle. If we go to your place, we will not be used to it. Sima Yue said, "We will continue to stay here. I will go with them to take a look at the teleportation array." They actually rejected the Heavenly Tiger Hall's invitation. The people outside looked at Sima Yue and felt that she was becoming more and more mysterious. "Third bro, Yulin, Beigong, come with me to the Heavenly Tiger Hall to take a look." Sima Yue said, "Grandfather, bring everyone here and wait for us to come back." "Okay, you guys be careful." Sima Lai was still a little worried about Sima Yue. "We will," Sima Yue said. "Oh right, the bet that Innkeeper Cho set up, none of the participants guessed correctly. That's why the money belongs to the banker now. We agreed to split it in half. When you guys are here, you can split the money with Innkeeper Cho." After speaking, she nodded at Zhou Heimo, and the two of them walked out together. Sima Yue ran, and the other two and the Heavenly Tiger Hall members followed behind and left the inn. Chapter 448. Those who had placed bets were all howling in grief. Not a single one of them had guessed correctly. They had lost all their bets. However, none of them had expected Sima Yue to be a master. If they had known earlier, they wouldn't have bet on it. Actually, he had guessed correctly that he would be safe and sound in the first round. However, it was still a far cry from becoming an esteemed guest of the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Thus, shopkeeper Cho smiled. This banker had done a good job. Total victory. However, when he saw the Sima family members who came to share the money, his heart ached again. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have agreed to share so much. Zhou Heimo invited Sima Yue and the rest to the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Only then did the people from the Heavenly Tiger Hall know that she was actually an array master. No wonder the hall master personally went to apologize. After entering the Heavenly Tiger Hall, Zhou Heimo said to the branch hall masters, "All of you can go and do your own things." "Yes, hall master." The branch hall masters left, leaving only Zhou Heimo and Zhou Haimin. "You can leave as well. Go home and reflect on your mistakes," Zhou Heimo said to Zhou Haimin. "Yes, big brother." Zhou Haimin left without even looking at Sima Yue. "I'm really sorry." Zhou Heimo smiled at Sima Yue and the others and said, "I'll take you to see the array now." "All right." Zhou Heimo took them to an independent courtyard. The courtyard was very big, but there was no one there now. It looked particularly desolate. "The array formation is in the hall." Zhou Heimo pointed to the room without a door and said, "In the past, there were many people coming and going here, so it was built very big." Sima Yue went in and saw an abandoned array. The array stone was still there, but it was covered with dust. There were also many names of places on the wall that were connected to the formation. Because of the fear of damaging the array again, no one usually comes here. Zhou Heimo explained, "Master, is there any way to repair this array? I need to study this." Sima Yue said, "There are many reasons why this array is damaged, but no matter which one it is, it will affect its connection with the void. If we don't find the problem, we won't be able to fix it." Zhou Heimo did not know anything about arrays, but after hearing what Sima Yue said, he felt that it was troublesome, but not impossible. He bowed to Sima Yue and said, "Master, please help us repair the formation. We will reward you handsomely. I need time, Sima Yue said, and some materials. Grandmaster, please speak. As long as the Heavenly Tiger Ridge has it, I will definitely get someone to get it. Zhou Haimo said excitedly. Okay. Sima Yue gave Zhou Haimo a few materials and asked him to leave. Once he left, Sima Yuran asked, Fifth bro, can this array really be repaired? Sima Yu and Sima Yulin looked at each other and laughed. Sima Yulin patted Sima Yuran's shoulder, saying, There's no big problem with this array at all. Any array master will be able to fix it. It's just that when the array broke, the Heavenly Tiger Ridge did not have an array master, so naturally, no one could fix it. Then why did Fifth Bro say it was so difficult? Sima Yuran said, So you wanted to extort them. The Heavenly Tiger Ridge has squeezed so many things out of the commoners these years. It's no big deal if we get some. Sima Yue said, Yulin, look at the array. Can you find out the uniqueness of the spatial coordinates of this continent? It's different from the continent below. Sima Yulin said, Yes, maybe it's because the power of the void is different here. That's why those who aren't divine overlords can't fly. The spatial coordinates are different as well. Sima Yue said, We can use this array to study the teleportation array of this continent. Not bad, Sima Yulin said excitedly. As such, the two of them began to study the array, while Bei Gongtang and the others did their own things. 3 days later, Zhou Haimo appeared again, holding the materials that Sima Yue wanted as well as the rewards that they had prepared. Great Master, the materials that you wanted have all been prepared. Zhou Haimo took out an interspatial ring, saying, Apart from this, these are all rewards for Great Master. Sima Yue did not think that the other party would act so quickly, and that the rewards would be so generous. However, she still frowned slightly. Is Great Master not satisfied with the rewards? If so, I'll get someone to send some more over. Zhou Haimo was very good at reading people's expressions. Hall Master, you could just give whatever you want. What I'm worried about is whether or not these materials will be able to fix the array. Sima Yue said, I've been studying it these 3 days. Apart from the previous problems, there are many hidden problems. If we don't get rid of these hidden problems, I'm afraid that even if the array is fixed, it won't be able to be used for long. What else do you need? Just tell me, Great Master. Zhou Haimo said. As such, Sima Yue said the names of a few more materials, and Zhou Haimo left once again. 5 days later, Zhou Haimo appeared again with the materials and a portion of the rewards. This time, Sima Yue did not make things difficult for him. After receiving the items, she told him to come back in 10 days. Within these 10 days, she was not to let anyone disturb her while she was fixing the array. Zhou Haimo left, full of anticipation. At the same time, he announced that no one was to disturb Sima Yue. Knowing that the array might be fixed, the people of the Heavenly Tiger Hall were extremely happy. People from other places thought that the Heavenly Tiger Hall did not allow anyone to use the teleportation array. Only they themselves knew that without the array, they had been cut off from the world for a long time. Of course, Sima Yue and the rest did not do much in these 10 days. For the first 9 days, they were cultivating here. On the morning of the 10th day, Sima Yue stood up and walked to the side of the array. First, she removed the dust on it, then changed all the array stones. When she changed the position of the stones, the array was fixed. In the afternoon, Zhou Haimo brought the other hall masters of the Heavenly Tiger Hall. When they saw the new array, they were extremely excited. Great Master, is the teleportation array ready? Zhou Haimo looked at Sima Yue and asked. Sima Yue did not say anything. She only smiled and injected some spirit energy into the array. With the injection of spirit energy, the entire array was activated. The light from the array lit up the entire room. It's done. It's done. It's really done. I haven't seen this light in so many years. It's really exciting. That's right. Great Master is indeed amazing. Thank you, Great Master. Now, the entire Heavenly Tiger Hall was unhappy with Sima Yue. Although she killed their hall masters, how could a hall master be more important than the teleportation array? Now, everyone was rejoicing that they did not kill Sima Yue and the rest. Otherwise, the teleportation array would never be fixed. Thank you, great master. Zhou Mo brought his men and bowed to Sima Yue. Although they paid a lot of money, as long as the teleportation array was fixed, it was all worth it. Seeing how grateful they were, Bei Gongtang and the rest laughed in their hearts. These guys were really easy to fool. Chapter 449. Sima Yue did not feel embarrassed and said, "Since the array has been fixed, we will go back first. I haven't been back for so long. My grandfather and the others must be worried." Actually, she had already used the Sun Mother Stone to tell Wei Ziqi and the others that she would be staying here for a period of time. They were not worried about her at all. "If that's the case, I'll send you off," Zhou Heimo said. "No need. Just find someone to lead the way for us." Sima Yue said, "Now that the teleportation portal is ready, I'm sure you guys have something to discuss. We won't trouble the Hallmaster." "How can that be? Nothing is more important than sending the Grandmaster away," Zhou Heimo said. He insisted on sending them off. Sima Yue did not reject his offer and left the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Returning to the inn, Sima Lai and the others saw that the four of them had returned safely, and only then did they truly let out a sigh of relief. "Grandfather, let's get ready and leave tomorrow," Sima Yue said. "Why isn't shopkeeper Cho here today? He hasn't been in the inn for the past few days." Sima Lai said, "Zian, are you looking for him for something?" "Nothing much. I just wanted to ask him something," Sima Yue said. The waiter just happened to come out from the back hall and heard her words. He said, "Dear guest, my shopkeeper said that if you have any business with him, you should wait for him for 2 days. He knows that I'm looking for him?" Sima Yue asked in surprise. There's nothing that my shopkeeper doesn't know about in Hong City," the waiter said narcissistically. Sima Yue nodded and went upstairs to her room. Sima Yue was even more curious about innkeeper Cho since he knew that she was looking for him. Sima Yue and the rest waited for innkeeper Cho for another half a month. Fortunately, everyone was able to cultivate, and these 10 or so days were also the days for everyone to go into seclusion. One day, the waiter knocked on Sima Yue's door and told her that shopkeeper Cho had returned and invited Sima Yue to meet him in the back hall. Although it was said to be the back hall, it was actually quite far away. Previously, she hadn't noticed that the back of the inn was the back hall. The waiter brought her into a room and let her go in alone. The room was very dark. After closing the door, it was almost impossible to see what was going on inside. "You're injured," Sima Yue said. "You have a sharp nose." Innkeeper Chow's voice came from the darkness. "The smell of blood is too strong. It's impossible not to smell it." Sima Yue shot out a ray of light and lit up the room. Shopkeeper Cho was lying on a chaise lounge. "What did you do to anger the heavens and the people? How could he be so severely injured? Your waiter doesn't know that you're injured so badly, right?" Innkeeper Cho laughed bitterly and said, "I didn't tell him. I was afraid of scaring him. If you die, won't he know?" Sima Yue saw that there were lights all around the room. She lit them up, and the whole room lit up. "Why did you call me here?" "I want you to help me bring Xiao to the innumerable green palace." Cough, cough. "Hand him over to the soaring cloud palace master." Innkeeper Cho said, "You really are from innumerable green palace." Sima Yue said, "We're not familiar with each other. Aren't you afraid that I won't agree to your request? I naturally have conditions that can move you." Innkeeper Cho said, "Then aren't you afraid that I won't do the job after taking it?" She asked again. "Huh?" Innkeeper Cho laughed and said, "I've lived for so many years, and I'm quite good at reading people. You're not that kind of person. You really think too highly of me." Sima Yue said, "You were beaten up to this state, right? If I were to bring Xiao out of Sky Tiger Ridge, I'm afraid that I would be killed before reaching the innumerable green palace." "You're really smart, much smarter than I thought." Innkeeper Cho no longer looked like a greedy shopkeeper. His aura was even stronger than Zhou Haimo's. So are you willing or not? If you agree, I'll give you a reward. Sima Yue walked over and casually pulled a stool to sit down, saying, I'm very interested in your reward. Why don't you tell me about it and see if it can move me? Innkeeper Chao's thoughts moved, and a box appeared on the short table beside him. Sima Yue picked up the box and opened it. Inside was an array stone the size of a palm. The bigger the array stone, the higher the level of array it could set up. Most array stones were only the size of a longan. Some were the size of a lychee. Those that were the size of an egg were relatively rare. But this one was actually the size of a palm. This was enough to show its value. Even someone as knowledgeable as her could not help but be moved by this array stone. What do you think? Innkeeper Cho asked. Sima Yue kept the box and said, I was thinking that if you usually keep a lot of treasures, and if you die and I snatch them, there will definitely be more than this array stone. Anyway, you shall or won't be able to snatch them from us. Who knows, I might even be able to get a reward from your enemies with your heads. Innkeeper Cho calmly listened to Sima Yue. He was neither anxious nor angry, as if he thought she was joking. When she finished, he opened his mouth and asked, Do you want to make this deal? Sima Yue saw that Innkeeper Cho was not angry and stopped joking, saying, You really know how to cater to my interests. I am indeed interested in your array stone, but I don't intend to get involved in your business. Innkeeper Chao's eyes darkened. If I can make a deal with you. She continued, What deal? I'll heal your injuries and get the array stone. As for your Xiao, I'll let you take care of him. What do you think? Innkeeper Cho looked at Sima Yue. When he was sure that she was not joking, his eyes flashed with a hint of playfulness. Are you a doctor or an alchemist? Both. Sima Yue said, So, do you agree or not? If you drag this out, it will be difficult to treat you. I'll have to raise the price then. You're an array master. Innkeeper Cho said, But that won't stop me from becoming an alchemist. Deal. Great. Sima Yue patted her thigh and kept the box containing the array stone into her spirit pagoda. Then, she took out her silver needles and laid the chaise lounge flat. She quickly stripped Innkeeper Cho of his clothes, leaving only his underwear. Innkeeper Cho watched as Sima Yue took out her silver needles. It was the first time he had seen someone treat injuries this way. Aren't you supposed to give me pills? Why are you using these needles to treat my injuries? He could not help but ask. Of course you have to take pills, but some parts of your body have already lost their functions. If you don't use the needles, it won't work even if you take pills. Sima Yue took out a pill and stuffed it into his mouth. Then, she disinfected her hands and the needles. She picked up the needles and stabbed them into Innkeeper Cho's body. It was the first time Innkeeper Cho had been stabbed with a needle. Moreover, Sima Yue was stabbing into his vital acupoints. Those places would be very painful if he understood them. Seeing the needles, he instinctively closed his eyes. Chapter 450. It was swollen and hot, but it didn't hurt like he had imagined. When he opened his eyes, he saw Sima Yue looking at him in amusement. What kind of treatment is this? He asked. Acupuncture. Sima Yue said as she inserted the needles. You're badly injured now, so it's best if you don't talk. Save your breath to absorb the effects of the pill. Innkeeper Cho was indeed very tired, but his eyes were exceptionally bright as he said, Cho Xiao Tian. My name, Cho Xiao Tian said, and closed his eyes, allowing Sima Yue to insert needles all over his body. In a trance, he felt that the life force that had been flowing away was slowly recovering, and the aura of death no longer surrounded him. A piece of clothing was draped over his body, and Sima Yue's voice made him slowly regain consciousness. All right, I won't die. Cho Xiaotian opened his eyes and looked at Sima Yue. Under the light, she looked tired. It seemed that she had spent a lot of energy to save him. Thank you, he said weakly. If you want to thank me, I'll waive the bill for our room. Sima Yue said as she kept the silver needles. All right. Cho Xiaotian agreed without hesitation. Sima Yue packed up her things and looked at Cho Xiao Tian, saying, I've been thinking about something. If I didn't save you, you probably wouldn't have lasted 2 hours. Are you really not going to say goodbye to your waiter? His name is Lian Hong. Cho Xiao Tian said, If I die and you don't bring him away, then let him live here for the rest of his life. How cruel. Sima Yue smacked her lips and said, For his own good. Cho Xiao Tian smiled bitterly. What about now? You're not dead, and you're still staying here? I need to think. Take your time to think about it. Sima Yue placed a jade bottle on the table and said, Take it again tomorrow at this time, and you'll be fine. Thank you. You're welcome. I've been paid anyway. Sima Yue said, If you really feel bad, give me another array stone like this. The door is over there. I won't be seeing you off. Sima Yue did not really want to knock on his door. She turned around and went out. When she opened the door, she saw Lian Hong standing in the courtyard with tears streaming down his face. Go in, she said and left. Lian Hong had never left, and Sima Yue knew all along. Only Cho Xiao Tian, who was severely injured and had lost too much of his life force, was not aware that Lian Hong was still outside. Thank you. Lian Hong bowed to Sima Yue gratefully. Sima Yue smiled and left the courtyard. She knew that the two of them had a lot to talk about. It was best if she didn't know, lest she got involved in other people's affairs. With a responsible attitude for the patient, their schedule was pushed back by a few more days. 5 days later, Cho Xiao Tian appeared in front of the robbery in high spirits. When he saw Sima Yue and the rest coming to settle the bill, he said, Your bill has been waived. Since that's the case, are we still going to refund the deposit we gave? Sima Yue asked. That won't do. We can't refund what we've already given. Cho Xiao Tian said with a serious face. He was afraid that Sima Yue would ask him for money. Sima Yue smiled and said to Sima Lai and the rest, Grandfather, let's go. The group left the inn. Cho Xiao Tian looked at the empty room and said to Lian Hong, who was cleaning, Do you want to leave with them? Lian Hong rolled his eyes at Cho Xiao Tian and said, You're the one who wants to leave with them. Why are you dragging me along? So you don't want to leave with them? Cho Xiao Tian narrowed his eyes and said, Yes. Lian Hong threw the broom in his hand and said, Then why aren't you packing? I'll go immediately. I'll be done in a few minutes. After Lian Hong finished speaking, he ran to the back hall like a wisp of smoke. Stinky brat, Cho Xiao Tian scolded jokingly. Sima Yue and the rest went directly to the Heavenly Tiger Hall. When the people there saw her and heard that she wanted to use the teleportation array, they politely led her to the courtyard where the teleportation array was. Although the teleportation array had been repaired, it had not been announced to the public yet. They only sent people to guard the place and did not allow anyone to come close. When Sima Yue arrived, Zhou Haimo also received the news and rushed over. Is Great Master leaving? Zhou Haimo asked respectfully. Yes, I was originally going to use this path to go outside. I didn't think that I would stay here for so long. Sima Yue said. Why? Hasn't anyone used the teleportation array yet? No, we sent 2 people out, and they have already returned safely. It's just that the teleportation array hasn't appeared in front of everyone for too long. In order to not cause panic, it hasn't been announced to the public yet. Then can we use it? Sima Yue asked. Of course you can. Zhou Haimo said. If Great Master wants to use it, you can use it any time. Thank you so much. Sima Yue said. Grandfather, let's go. They entered the hall and stood in the teleportation array. Just as they were about to inject spiritual energy into it, they heard a call. Wait, wait, wait for us. Sima Yue looked outside and saw 2 people walking in anxiously. Young Master Sima, wait for us. Lian Hong saw Sima Yue and the rest and raised his hand to shout. Cho Xiao Tian followed behind, and the 2 quickly entered the house. He was the only one who could come here without permission. Innkeeper Cho, you guys are leaving too? Zhou Haimo looked at Cho Xiao Tian and the rest in surprise. Master said that he's had enough of the inn and wants to go out for a walk. I'm not a waiter anymore. Lian Hong said with a smile. Young Master Sima, can you give us a ride? We're not going the same way as you. Sima Yue said. It's on the way. It's on the way. Lien Hong said, we'll go wherever you guys go. How could it not be on the way? You're planning to follow us? Fatty Chu asked with a smile. My master said that it's best if we bring you to wherever you want to go. Lien Hong said. Sima Yue knew that he was talking about the innumerable Green Palace. She thought about how Cho Xiao Tian mentioned the soaring Cloud Palace Master and guessed that they must know each other. Since that's the case, let's go together. All right. Lien Hong stepped into the teleportation array, and Cho Xiao Tian walked in slowly. Great Master, where are you guys going? Zhou Haimo asked. Flower City. Sima Yue said. Flower City had a teleportation array that led directly to the innumerable Green City. Zhou Haimo nodded and injected spiritual energy into the teleportation array. The array activated, and with a flash of light, the group of people disappeared into the array. Outside Flower City, a space tunnel opened, and Sima Yue and the rest walked out. At this moment, they were already a few million kilometers away from Hong City. The teleportation array here is really troublesome. We can't even teleport directly into the teleportation array. Fatty Chu complained. There's a strict hierarchy here. Places like Heavenly Tiger Ridge don't have the right to teleport to Flower City. We can only teleport to somewhere near Flower City. Cho Xiao Tian explained. Chapter 451, Crazy Wife, the Fifth Miss of the Divine Doctor. Book title, 451. Chapter 451, Being Dragged into the Waters. Sima Yue looked at Cho Xiao Tian and said, Since we're here, let's part ways here. No rush, no rush. Cho Xiao Tian said, Since your destination is the innumerable Green Palace, so is mine. Why don't we travel together? At least we can take care of each other on the way. I don't think that being with you is about taking care of each other, Sima Yue said bluntly. But with me around, you can enter the innumerable Green Palace faster. Otherwise, if you want to use the teleportation array, you'll have to go through a lot of trouble. Cho Xiao Tian fanned himself and smiled slyly. The rest of the Sima family looked at Sima Yue, not knowing what she and Cho Xiao Tian were talking about. Yue, since we're going the same way as them, why don't we travel together? Fatty Chu said. They're ticking time bombs. Sima Yue said. A dash 2 array stones. This was the first time Cho Xiao Tian heard about ticking time bombs, but he roughly understood what it meant. Sima Yue stared at him and said, Let's talk alone. Okay. Hence, the two of them walked to the side, and Cho Xiao Tian set up a barrier. Everyone could only watch the two of them talk. At first, it was Cho Xiao Tian talking most of the time, while Sima Yue frowned. You're saying that Lien Hong is the nephew of the Soaring Cloud Palace Master? Then who are his parents? Sima Yue asked. The Soaring Cloud Palace Master is called Lien Zhe. He's the second young master of the Lien clan. Lien Hong's father is his elder brother. Cho Xiao Tian said. What about his mother? His mother is a young lady from the Fei clan, the Lien clan's enemy. Cho Xiao Tian said. The Fei clan is very unhappy with the two of them. They don't approve of this child, Lien Hong. All these years, they've been sending people to kill him. So that's why you brought him to Sky Tiger Ridge and destroyed the teleportation portal? Sima Yue said with certainty. The Heavenly Tiger Ridge is an inconspicuous place in the state. They would not expect us to be there. There is no teleportation array, and there are spirit beasts outside. Normal people would not be able to find this place. Cho Xiao Tian did not deny it. But there are also people who can directly create space tunnels. Sima Yue said. For example, Old Man Devil and Wu Lingyu. When she thought of Wu Lingyu, she suddenly remembered that not everyone could open a spatial tunnel. One had to be at least at the divine realm to do so. Could it be that he had already broken through to the divine realm at such a young age? Cho Xiao Tian didn't know what she was thinking and continued. Those from the Fei family who can open the passage will not participate in this matter. Why? According to what I know, this matter was done by a young master of the Fei clan. He used to like Lien Hong's mother. Cho Xiao Tian said. So you're saying that we're not going against the entire Fey clan? Sima Yue said, then what is the background of the Fey and Lien clans? They are second only to the innumerable Green Palace. Cho Xiao Tian said. SS- Sima Yue glared fiercely at Cho Xiao Tian. Are you trying to scam me or scam me? You want to drag us down with such a powerful force? No way, not with you guys. It's too dangerous. You guys are already in the water. Cho Xiao Tian said with a smile. You guys appeared outside Flower City with us. With the Fey clan's power, they must have received the news. Even if you guys split up with us now, you won't be able to escape the Fey clan's pursuit. That guy would rather kill 1,000 innocents than let a single one go. Sima Yue said helplessly. We are just small characters from below. Why are you dragging us down with you? No, we can only survive with you guys around. Cho Xiao Tian said. These few years, I have been trying to find a chance to reunite Lian Hong and Lian Zhe, but the moment I leave Heavenly Tiger Ridge, I will be chased by the Fey clan. Let's not even talk about going to innumerable Green City to find Lian Zhe. We are just a group of divine-ranked people. We will definitely drag you guys down if we fight. It's useless even if you drag us along. Sima Yue said, who knows? Maybe you could have gone to 2 cities, but you only went to 1. I have no choice. You're my last bet. Cho Xiao Tian said, if we miss you guys, we don't know how long we will have to stay in Heavenly Tiger Ridge. The Fey clan has already noticed Heavenly Tiger Ridge. Even if we don't go with you, we will have to consider leaving. And I believe that with you guys, we will have a bit of hope. You schemed against us. Sima Yue said coldly. I'm sorry, but we have no other choice. Cho Xiao Tian said, other than the reward I promised you, I owe you a favor. Sima Yue had a headache. She only wanted to go to Central State to help Bei Gongtang and save her mother and brother. How did she end up meeting such a troublesome fox? What's your relationship with them? What about his parents? His father and I are brothers. His parents are dead. Before they died, they asked me to take care of them. Cho Xiao Tian said, as long as I bring you guys to innumerable Green Palace? Sima Yue asked. Yes. Cho Xiao Tian nodded. 4 array stones and a favor. Sima Yue did not hold back and directly increased the price. 3 and a favor. I only have 3 left. Cho Xiao Tian said. Sima Yue stared at Cho Xiao Tian for a long time, before saying unwillingly, deal. Advance payment. Just as he said, they had appeared in the outskirts of Flower City. The Fey clan would definitely get the news. At that time, it would be difficult for her to escape the fate of being chased. She might as well bring them along and earn some benefits. Cho Xiao Tian took out an array stone. Its size was about the same as the previous one. Sima Yue took the array stone and inspected it. She kept it in her spirit pagoda and asked, where did you get such a big array stone? I got 4 by chance. Cho Xiao Tian replied. Actually, I've always been curious about your identity. Sima Yue looked at Cho Xiao Tian. Previously, I thought you were from innumerable Green Palace. Now, it seems like you're not. Who exactly are you? I'm from Middle State. I also unintentionally got involved in this matter. Cho Xiao Tian said. But you didn't try to contact your sect or think of a way to go back. Sima Yue did not understand. You just came to this continent and are not familiar with the outskirts. Cho Xiao Tian said, the teleportation arrays here can't be used casually. Moreover, there are people from the Fey clan in every city and sect. They control all the teleportation arrays. How can I go back to Middle State? Sima Yue suddenly thought of something and shouted, then we can't use the teleportation array either. Seeing Cho Xiao Tian nod, she wanted to give him a good beating. She suddenly felt that she had only received 3 array stones. It was a huge loss. The 2 of them talked for about half an hour in the barrier before coming out. Cho Xiao Tian was still smiling brightly, while Sima Yue was a little depressed. Let's get on our way. Otherwise, it will be troublesome if the Fey clan people chase after us. Cho Xiao Tian said to everyone. The Sima family looked at Sima Yue. She waved her hand and said, I'll tell you the details on the way. Let's get on our way. Chapter 452. However, before they could move, a group of people came out from Flower City. When Cho Xiao Tian saw those people, his face instantly turned grave. The Fei family? Sima Yue guessed from his expression. Yes, I didn't expect them to come so quickly. Cho Xiao Tian said, looks like they've already guessed that we're in Heavenly Tiger Ridge and are preparing to look for us in Flower City. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sent so many people to such a small city. It seemed like it was the right decision for them to come out. The Heavenly Tiger Ridge's teleportation array had already been repaired. Flower City could directly use the teleportation array to enter Hong City and find them. The Fei family members quickly surrounded them. Sima Yue looked around and realized that there were about 100 of them. Cho Xiao Tian, you are indeed here. A middle-aged man dressed in red walked out from the back and looked at Cho Xiao Tian as he spoke. I was wondering which dog it was, so it was you, Fei Wu. Cho Xiao Tian said. Puffed. Sima Yue and the others burst out laughing when they heard the other party's name. Fei Wu, trash. You can still laugh now, but you won't be able to laugh in a while. Fei Wu sneered. Fei Wu, last time I beat you up so badly that even your parents couldn't recognize you. You said that you spent so much effort to escape, so why did you come back to throw away your life? Cho Xiao Tian exposed Fei Wu's scars without holding back at all. Oomph. Do you think you can escape like last time? Fei Wu shifted his gaze away from Sima Yue and the rest. They were just a bunch of low-level deities. They were not worthy of his attention. He looked at Cho Xiao Tian and said, we found out long ago that you guys were hiding in the Heavenly Tiger Ridge. It's a pity that the teleportation array there is broken. Otherwise, how could you guys be free and unfettered for so long? You and this bastard have been dealt with long ago. Lian Hong clenched his fists tightly. This was the first time someone had called him a bastard. However, he wasn't angry. When he decided to find out his identity, he had already expected such a situation. You call me a lowly bastard, but you're just a lackey of the Fei family. He retorted without backing down. Even if he couldn't win in a fight, he could still find some satisfaction in his words. Sima Yue looked at the people around her and said, the sooner we settle this, the sooner we leave. The longer we delay, the more disadvantageous it will be for us. Cho Xiao Tian also knew, nodded and said, let's do it. Ouyang, you're in charge of protecting Annie. Sima Yue said, the rest of you, call out your sacred beasts and attack together. Sima Yulin and the others called out their sacred beasts. At the very least, they had at least 2 sacred beasts. They were densely packed beside them. The Fei family, Cho Xiao Tian, and Lian Hong were shocked to see so many sacred beasts. In the primordial lands, very few people had so many sacred beasts. If the spirit beasts found out that one of their own had been contracted, it would bring about a lot of trouble. Therefore, most people would only have 1 or 2 contracted beasts. It was rare to see so many of them. Sima Yue called out Yaguang, Little Rock, Thousand Resonance, and Little Roar. Chongming and Little Dream did not come out, as they would be their trump cards in the future. Seeing that she alone had 4 sacred beasts, Cho Xiao Tian felt that this guy was really heaven-defying. It was right for him to have followed them out. Although Fei Wu had brought close to 100 people, most of them were at the beginner or intermediate level of the divine rank. Even though he was stronger, he had only just reached the divine overlord rank. Cho Xiao Tian's strength was also at the divine overlord rank. The two of them exchanged blows the moment the battle began and fought in the air. The Fei family had a few sacred beasts as well, but they were few in number. The others were all at the peak of the divine rank and could not compare to Yaguang and the others. However, they had more people, and the battle lasted for close to an hour before it ended. Sima Yulu and the others were slightly injured. After a round of fighting, Sima Yue led them and jumped onto Little Rock's back, saying, let's leave this place quickly. According to what Cho Xiao Tian said, the teleportation array could not be used, so they could only take flying beasts to the innumerable Green Palace. At this time, more people came out from the city. Cho Xiao Tian and the others quickly jumped onto Little Rock's back. Little Rock flapped his wings and led everyone away. Young Master C, They have flying beasts. What do we do? A guard asked a handsome man. It's our negligence. Fei Si's face darkened as he looked at the people who were getting further and further away, saying, "Go back and report to the family that Cho Shao Tian has brought that bastard out. They will definitely go to the innumerable Green Palace. They will definitely not dare to enter the city or use the teleportation array. Let the family members kill them along the way." Yes, young Master C. Also, they have flying beasts. Don't forget this point. Fei Si instructed. Also, send people to investigate who those people following Cho Shao Tian are. They dare to go against the Fei family and have so many sacred beasts. They should not be small characters. Your subordinate understands. Your subordinate will take his leave. The guard retreated and left. Fei Si looked at the direction that Sima Yue and the others had left in and thought for a while. He shouted, "Men!" Young Master C. Two guards who were standing at the back stepped forward. Send people to the four-winged rock family. Say that someone has contracted the four-winged rock king and even made it his mount. Also, spread the news that they have so many contracted beasts. You must spread it to those spirit beast clans. Fei Si instructed. Yes, young Master C. Fei Si looked into the distance, his stern face expressionless. He thought of something and suddenly turned towards the city, saying, "Go to the Goshawk family." Cho Shao Tian saw that no one was chasing after them and heaved a sigh of relief, saying, "Thank you." If it were not for them, he and Lian Hong would have been killed the moment they came out. Lian Hong was injured and ate a pill. He looked at Sima Yue gratefully, saying, "Thank you, Yue." Yu, what the hell is going on? Fatty Chu and the others did not know why they encountered such a situation the moment they came out. She had said that she would tell them on the way, but they were almost killed before they could leave. Sima Yue told them about Lian Hong's background, how Cho Shao Tian and the others were hiding in the Heavenly Tiger Ridge to avoid being killed, and how she had dragged them into the water. After listening, everyone stared at Cho Shao Tian and scolded him for being unkind and cunning. Don't blame Master. He did it for me. If you want to blame someone, blame me. Lian Hong said when he saw that everyone was angry. Lian Hong, you didn't even know that something like this would happen when you came out. How can we blame you? Sima Yulu said. They had chatted with Lian Hong in the inn and knew that he was a simple person, so they did not blame him. But there was no point in blaming Cho Shao Tian. That guy's skin was too thick. But they also knew that Cho Shao Tian and the others had no choice. Otherwise, they would not have stayed in Great City for so long. Their dangerous situation was not unrelated to Sima Yue. It was because she had repaired the teleportation array that they had no choice but to leave. Thinking of this, Sima Yue was not so angry and asked, "Where are we going now?" Chapter 453. Sea City is just ahead. Based on our current speed, we should be able to reach innumerable Green City in 10 years if we continue in this direction. Cho Shao Tian said. PFFF. Everyone spluttered. Was this guy joking or was he joking? 10 years. How could she waste 10 years on the road? Furthermore, this was Little Rock's speed. If it were any other flying beast, it would probably take at least 15 to 16 years. And this is under the condition that there is no obstruction along the way. Cho Shao Tian said, but we don't know how many spirit beast territories we'll pass through and how many people we'll encounter. Sima Yue rubbed her forehead. This was not something to be happy about. What about the Lin family? Didn't they say that Lian Hong's father was a member of the Lin clan? Does their clan not care about him? Wei Ziqi asked. His father was expelled from the family in order to be with his mother. Cho Shao Tian said, I really admire how much he values relationships. That's why I agreed when he asked me to take care of him. Then the Lin clan doesn't care about Lian Hong? Fatty Chu asked. It's already good enough that the Lin clan didn't send anyone to kill us. Cho Shao Tian smiled bitterly. I originally wanted to bring him to the central region, but I was being chased, so I had no choice but to escape to a remote place. Then does the Lin clan know of Lian Hong's existence? Sima Yuran asked. He may or may not know. Cho Xiaotian said, back then, one of his clansmen was with us, but we were separated when we were fleeing. If he survived, then the Lin family would know. If he's dead, the Lin family won't know. I think that the Lin clan would know if that clansman survived or not. Sima Yue said, the Lin clan and the Fei clan are old enemies, so they would definitely pay more attention to their matters. All these years, the Fei clan has been hunting you down quite a bit, so it's impossible for the Lin clan to not know about it. He could only say that it all depended on what the person in the Lin clan who knew about this thought. However, the Lin family hasn't done anything for so many years, so you don't have to have any hopes. Sigh, Cho Xiaotian sighed. Lin Hong lowered his head. Speaking of which, why did you bring him to Lin Zhe? Sima Yue asked. This is his father's request. Cho Xiaotian looked at Lin Hong and said, before his father died, he said that if the Lin clan could not be trusted, then he should go to the innumerable Green Palace to find his younger brother. He was definitely trustworthy. As long as he entered the innumerable Green Palace, the Fei clan would not dare to kill Lin Hong. This was because even the Fei family did not dare to make a move against the innumerable Green Palace. But in the end, we couldn't get in touch with his uncle. Sigh, things are getting a little troublesome. Sima Yulu said, I haven't seen this uncle for so many years. Who knows if he's still as reliable as before? If we rush over so eagerly, it'll be troublesome if it's a road of no return. If it doesn't work, then she can only follow me to Central State. Cho Xiaotian said, once we reach Central State, the Fei clan will not be able to do anything to us. Let's first think of a way to get to the innumerable Green Palace. Sima Yuran said, 10 years. Let's not talk about how long it will be. The longer we stay outside, the more dangerous it will be. That's right. Fatty Chu agreed. The longer we stay, the more chances they will have to kill us. Who knows, the people they send might be even more powerful. However, our strength will not increase by much in a short period of time. Not bad. Fatty Chu can even analyze. Wei Ziqi laughed as he teased. TSK. I'm not just a simple-minded person. Fatty Chu used his elbow to poke Wei Ziqi, unsatisfied with his teasing. Everyone laughed as well. They were no longer as worried about the dangerous situation they were in. Sorry, I've caused trouble for everyone. I'll repay you in the future. Lin Hong suddenly said. Sima Yu knew that he was meticulous and kind. For him to be able to be like this with an old fox like Cho Xiaotian was not bad. She said with a smile, Lin Hong, you don't have to feel guilty. Your master has already paid us. Lin Hong looked at Sima Yu and knew that she was comforting him. He smiled and did not say anything, but his heart was filled with gratitude towards them. They flew for a few days, but did not meet any Fei clan members. In order to let Little Rock rest, they changed to a flying beast. This time, they thoroughly felt the vastness of the primordial lands. They flew for more than a month, but did not even see a single city. He could only see the continuous mountain range, the vast plains, and the magnificent river. Just as they were rushing, Fei Si brought a few people to a mountain range. Before their flying beast landed, they were surrounded by a group of goshawks. Who are you? Fei Si stood on his flying beast and looked at the goshawks surrounding him calmly. The Fei clan's Fei Si requests an audience with the goshawk king. He has something to tell you. The Fei clan? A goshawk with a white feather on his head looked at Fei Si sharply. Seeing that he did not avoid his gaze, he said to the goshawk behind him, Go and report to the king. Yes. The goshawk flapped his wings and flew away. After a while, he returned and said, The king said to bring him in. Bring him in. The white goshawk ordered. More than 10 goshawks surrounded Fei Si's flying beast and flew into the depths of the mountain range. Fei Si looked at the area where the goshawks lived and found that there were a few goshawks in each mountain range. Even the young goshawks were undergoing cruel training. After they entered the depths of the mountain range, they were not allowed to fly. Thus, they landed on the ground. Fei Si kept his contracted beast and the few of them followed the goshawks to the highest mountain. After 2 hours, they finally reached the top of the mountain. At the top of the mountain, the goshawk king, who was as tall as a small mountain, was facing the setting sun. After a while, the goshawk king stopped and turned around to ask, "You are Fei Si?" Fei Si bowed slightly and said, "Fei Si of the Fei clan greets the goshawk king. My goshawk clan has never had any dealings with humans. What business do you have with us?" The goshawk king said lightly. His arrogant attitude showed that he did not put Fei Si in his eyes. Fei Si smiled and said, "I am here today to cooperate with the goshawk king." Cooperation? I don't think we have anything to cooperate with. You humans are not of the same origin as us. We have never had any dealings with each other. The goshawk king said, "If this is the important matter you're talking about, you can leave now. Seeing that the Fei clan is considered a big clan, I will not pursue the matter of you trespassing on my clan's land." After the goshawk king finished speaking, 2 flies landed and were ready to take them away. "Goshawk king, don't be in such a hurry to chase me away," Fei Si said confidently. "You haven't heard what kind of cooperation I'm talking about. After I tell you, I think you'll be interested in cooperating with us." The goshawk king looked at Fei Si and said after a while, "Tell me what it is first." "The king of the rocks has appeared. I wonder if the goshawk king is interested in this news?" Fei Si looked at the goshawk king and said. Seeing the goshawk king's expression change, he smiled with satisfaction. "You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.